Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gauntlet Community Open Gaming. My name is Mike Ferdinando, and I will be GMing this morning's game of Swords of the Serpentine. Swords of the Serpentine is a sword and sorcery role-playing game, soon to be published by Pelgrane Press. It uses the Gumshoe game engine. I was one of the playtesters for Swords of the Serpentine back in 2018. The GM of my home game was a personal friend of the lead designer of Swords of the Serpentine and agreed to basically take one session to run the game I'm going to run this morning. This is the intro adventure that's going to be published in the rulebook. We loved the game so much that we ended up playing a campaign that lasted like 8 months real time. I'm a big fan of this game. So enough about me. If we could go around the table, I'll go left to right as your images appear on my Zoom window. Ask you to introduce yourself. Oh, and by the way, I use my pronouns are he, him. If you can tell us your name, your pronouns, a little bit of, as much as about yourself as you'd like to, and then we'll get into the game. Joe, would you start?
Sure. My name's Joe Knoll. I'm on the East Coast of the U.S. My pronouns are he, him, and I have been a gamer most of my life. Like everybody else, probably started in high school with Dungeons and Dragons, and then found indie games about 5 years ago, mostly PBTA. Played a lot of those with my local group. I'm new to the Gauntlet and Gauntlet Hangouts calendar. I've never played online with you guys before, so this is my first time. Please be gentle. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm hoping someday to run games on the Gauntlet. I think it's a great organization.
Very cool. Yeah, I've really enjoyed my time on the Gauntlet. For new players, there's definitely a high player to GM ratio. So sometimes for new players who are just joining the Gauntlet, it can sometimes be a little daunting to get into a game, and that's just because we don't have as many GMs as we would generally prefer. People are busy, people have stuff. It's sometimes hard to commit. But if you do want to play, be persistent. My recommendation is to get on wait lists. People regularly will sign up for a game, weeks or months in advance, and then something will come up and they'll have to drop. So the wait list is your friend. My first several games as a player on the Gauntlet, I got in off the wait list.
Okay, thanks.
Also the general practice with the Gauntlet is they generally want you to run a couple of games, play a couple of games just so we get a feel for you before they grant you GM privileges. But play 3 or 4. Once you've played 3 or 4 games, ping the community leader and they'll generally let you in. Charlotte, would you introduce yourself?
All right, so I'm Charlotte. My pronouns are she and her. This is actually my first tabletop role play in an international community. So I've done pen and paper role play for about 25 years. So I started quite late because at first I didn't know anybody who did it, and this was way before the internet existed. I'm also doing live role playing. So at the moment, I'm also getting quite into these international and online live role playing. And for tabletop, usually the way we play with our friends is we pick a system, but then we take more the atmosphere of it, and in a way we don't care so much about the rules, because for us it's more about how you play and the role playing, and then kind of if the game master thinks, yes, this character would be able to do this, if a player had a good idea, then usually maybe you roll a dice, but usually it works. So we are not the type of guys who get deep down in the rules. But for us it's really I don't know, to have this experience together. So, and yeah, as I said, located in Germany, so very convenient time for me to play, thank you. And yeah, it's also my first game on the Gauntlet. So pleased to hear that I may be able to join more often, because it's quite a nice thing to do on the weekend, and numbers are rising over here in Germany again. So I'm not so keen on going out, and things are closing down. So yay, thank you for offering the game, Mike.
I'm glad to do it. So welcome aboard. So we've got two new players for the Gauntlet. That's awesome. Cass, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cass, he, him pronouns. I have been playing games since I was in my early teens. I grew up in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is the home of Apocalypse World and a bunch of other little indie games. So I kind of grew up immersed in the indie story game scene. And since then have made it a mission of mine to introduce other players to that. So I'm kind of a forever GM in all of my groups. So this is a delightful chance to get to sit on the player side. I'm particularly excited for this game because I've run Trail of Cthulhu once, and I've got the Dracula dossier sitting on my shelf just waiting to be played. So it's so nice to be able to play a gumshoe game.
Fantastic. Just one. I have no financial stake in this, but if you're interested in other gumshoe games, a Bundle of Holding, which is bundleofholding.com, is right now running a really good deal for PDFs of the. I'm sorry, I need to pause just a moment. Terribly sorry about that. My doorbell rang. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes. So Bundle of Holding is running a. So if you're interested in gumshoe games, Bundle of Holding is running a deal right now on the gumshoe game Night's Black Agents, which is a. You mentioned the Dracula dossier. That's another. That is a supplement for Night's Black Agents. So Night's Black Agents is a game where it's a modern day espionage game in a world where vampires exist. Anyway, just wanted to mention that since the Dracula dossier came up. And David, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I am David, he, him pronouns. I've been playing with the Gauntlet since April, so about 6-ish months now. And I'm coming into this with a fair amount of experience with Gumshoe. I've probably played about 4 Gumshoe games over the years, and I've never played Swords of the Serpentine, though. It's interesting because Gumshoe games tends to be of the more contemporary, modern horror and mystery bend. So a sword and sorcery fantasy game using the Gumshoe engine, now how fascinating. I want to get in and see what that's like. So here I am, looking forward to playing it and seeing how it's going.
Fantastic. So we've got a couple of people that have played Gumshoe before. Normally in a Gumshoe game, if you find yourself in combat, you've generally done something wrong and it's going to go bad for you. That's not the case in Swords of the Serpentine, because this game really does a great job of genre emulation. When I was playing campaign level, because I mentioned I was in a Swords of the Serpentine game in the playtest edition for about 8 months. It really felt like we were playing out the plot of like a Safford and the Grey Mouser adventure, or Red Sonja, or the late 70s sci-fi or sword and sorcery anthology series Thieves' World by Robert Lynn Asprin. It really does a great job of emulating genre. So let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to bring up is a couple of simple housekeeping things. First of all, for those of you who haven't done a lot of online play before, I do want to mention microphone etiquette, and that's generally keep yourself muted unless you're speaking. And that's because if you've got if you've got a pet, or if you've got or if you're sharing living space with other people, a lot of people don't realize that that your microphone may pick up a background noise of like a couple of motorcycles driving by your house, or your housemate turning on the television in the other room. So that was that. The next thing I want to talk about are safety tools. So again, I apologize. The materials I sent out earlier had links to the wrong game. I did send out an update at about 8 o'clock this morning. So if you could find the link to the character keeper in the email that I sent you. If not, I will, let me put another link to that in the chat window. So this is a character keeper. If you've never played with these before, character keepers are a technology. I'm not sure if it was developed on the Gauntlet, or it's a tool where everyone gets a chance to, like, all of the character sheets are kind of on the same thing, so everyone can see what everyone else's abilities are, and that gives players an ability to sort of like bounce off or set things up for other players or the other characters. And I find that it makes a more pleasant experience, because everyone is more cognizant of what everyone else can do. So it makes it easier to makes it easier to coordinate your actions. Character generation in Swords of the Serpentine is can be a little time consuming. So these are the 6 characters that are these are the 6 pre-generated sample characters from the book. I've already pre-populated all this information. We'll get into picking characters in a moment, but if you could all please click on the Safety and Resources tab. I want to talk a little bit about RPG safety tools and what we'll be using in play. So role-playing games are they're a really fun pastime. I've been playing them for almost 40 years, but one thing that is a danger with role-playing games is sometimes all of us have different life experiences, and what's no big deal for one person may be a very big deal to talk about for someone else. In role-playing games, we'll often open ourselves up emotionally in ways that we wouldn't normally in more casual settings. It can be it can be a little daunting. We're all strangers playing a game on the internet, and none of us know each other terribly well. So I don't know what your life experiences are. You don't know what mine are. Safety tools are a way we can put some bounds around the things that we're dealing with in the game. So we're going to be working with three safety tools. The first and most basic one I want to talk about is called Open Door, and that means we are all free to come and go as we please at this game. Anyone can call a break at any time. Your comfort is paramount. So anyone can call a break at any time. Anyone can step away from the game for any reason. And finally, if you find that, if we get into this game and you find that it is absolutely not your cup of tea, and you wish to drop out, that is absolutely fine. No harm, no foul. If you decide to drop out, wish you well for your, sorry this game wasn't to your liking, and I hope you have fun, and I hope and I would hope that we get a chance to play again in the future. That is Open Door. Any questions on Open Door? The next tool we're going to play with is called the X card. And the X card means we're going to pause the game and have a short discussion about what was going on. So if something happens in the game that you find objectionable or makes you uncomfortable or otherwise you just don't want to deal with, you can say the phrase X card. The dice roller we'll be using has an X card button on it, so you can just click that button and a big red X is going to appear on everyone else's screen. Or we're all on video here, so you could make make a gesture of make a gesture like this or like this, or otherwise call a timeout. There's absolutely nothing wrong with invoking the X card. It just means we are going to pause the game, have a short discussion, figure out what it is that we need to pull out of the game. You do not have to tell us why. We just have to tell us what, and we'll back up the scene, remove that element, and then replay it without that element. And and there's absolutely nothing. It can be whatever. It's for whatever reason. It could be something as silly as oh, this NPC is the name of someone I really don't like. Can we choose a different name? That's absolutely fine. Are there any questions about the X card? Okay. The third tool we're going to use are called lines and veils. Lines and veils were invented by the RPG designer Ron Edwards for his game Sorcerer back in 2003. Lines and veils are a way to basically define some, for us to share topics or subject matters that we know are going to be problematic for ourselves. So we can let everyone know that we're going to take these things out of the game and we just aren't going to deal with it. So a line is something that simply will not appear in the game. So if a topic is, lined, I'm not going to introduce it. If it was going to be in the game, I am running a published adventure here. If that topic was going to be in the game, I will take it out and replace it with some other plot element that's not objectionable. And also, we as players, we as a group agree not to introduce that at all during play. Those are lines. Veils are subject matters that we can acknowledge in the game, but they will only ever happen off camera or in the past, or you may hear tell of them, but they will never happen on camera, and they will certainly never happen to the player characters. Usually these are sort of negative things that we just don't want to deal with, but positive things can be veiled too. Like, for example, sexual content, consensual sexual content. Well, we're going to veil that. If there's a romance scene that happens in the game, and things progress beyond a passionate kiss, we're just going to fade to black and then cut back to those characters the next morning. So on the Safety and Resources tab, there's a list of common topics that a lot of people that people frequently raise objections to and wish to line or veil. If everyone would like to take a moment to go through those and check either a line or a veil on those. If anything is currently veiled that which you wish to upgrade it to a line, that's fine. So and if you have topics that you wish to line or veil, there's space for you to add that. And I'll give everyone a moment or two. I've already put my lines and veils in there at the get-go. So if anyone has any wish that they wish to add, please go ahead and mark them. And I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to figure that out. And when you're ready, if you could just give us a thumbs up. Are we ready? Do folks need a few more minutes? Okay, fantastic. Okay, so Swords of the Serpentine. So this is a sword and sorcery game. I'm going to talk a little bit about the setting. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the nature of play, and then I'll give a very brief overview of game mechanics. I'm going to try not to talk too loud, and we'll just kind of like hop into play. In the intro adventure, there's We're going to start in media res, like with a big fight scene. So we'll kind of like learn the rules as we go through that initial fight scene. In Swords of the Serpentine, or in all Gumshoe games, let's see. Let me talk about the setting a little bit first. Swords of the Serpentine is set in it's set in a big sprawling fantasy city that's loosely based on a fantasy Venice. It is set in the city of Eversink, which is at the mouth, exists on a collection of islands in the mouth of the Serpentine River. Eversink has existed for a very long time. Apparently, this was the site of the Serpent people had built a city here millennia ago. But of course, everyone knows that the Serpent folk are all long gone. There are no more Serpent people. Everyone totally acknowledges that there are no more Serpent people, and humans built up a city here, and it's existed for more than 1,000 years. Eversink is a cosmopolitan city of that's focused around commerce and trade. It has a state religion. The state religion is the Church of Denari. Denari is the goddess of commerce. Her holy book is called the Prayer Book. Is called the Holy Book of Denari is called the Prayer Book and Tax Laws of Denari. Denari apparently, according to the faithful, Denari physically like Eversink is Denari. Denari is the city, and she occasionally physically manifests within the city. And how the city fares is how the goddess fares, and how the goddess fares is how the city fares. Commerce is everything in Eversink. Like counterfeiting the currency is a capital offense, as is tax evasion. Eversink has many factions. We'll get into factions in a little bit. It is ruled by the Trixidane, which is a group of 13 nobles. The ruling council shifts around, and it's kept as kind of an open secret as to who the members of the Trixidane are at a given time. When I first heard of this, I thought that they had stolen that from the city of Waterdeep, and then when I was talking with the designer, Waterdeep and Swords of the Serpentine both stole it from the historical example of actual medieval Venice. So the characters are going to be, so the characters in Swords of the Serpentine are going to be kind of like larger than life adventurer types. Kind of the sky's the limit. When you look at the six pre-gens, when we look at the six pre-gens, they tend to fall into archetypes. So of the six that we've got here, we've got Caliska Longscream. She's basically a barbarian, very much modeled on Fafford from the Fafford and the Grey Mouser series. And Caliska has a companion character that is Quill the Finder, the Hunter the Clever. Quill is very much based on the Grey Mouser from Fafford and the Grey Mouser series. We've got Lucrezia Swan. She is a vigilant of Denari. She is a sentinel. She's more or less a paladin of Denari. She's got some supernatural powers that allows her to see into the spirit world and apprehend evildoers. We have the Sipitus of the Many Eyes, who is a sorcerer. I'll get into sorcery in a moment. The bottom line about sorcery is casting magic is bad. The source of sorcery is always corrupting, and you're bringing in forces from beyond into the world that changes the world, not necessarily for the better. It's very powerful and also very dangerous. Our last two characters in the that you could choose from are Lord Callio and his servant Lorenzo, that totally have a Jeeves and Wooster vibe. So Lord Callio is a foppish, not too bright, but actually pretty well skilled, like warrior, adventurer, and bon vivant. And his servant Lorenzo his servant Lorenzo is a definitely one of those like behind the scenes fixers, a rogue, and also has some magical power. So we'll let folks figure out which 4 of these characters we will be using in play.
I would happily take on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I know I haven't really gone into the game mechanics yet, but let's start by figuring out what your archetype is and like what character you want to play, and then we'll get into going to do the briefest overview of game mechanics. Then I'll call a break, and then we'll come back and start playing.
So I'm looking at Quill or Lucrezia because in the 2 Gauntlet Con games I've played yesterday, I was kind of a rabble-rousing troublemaker sort of character. So playing somebody who's just friendly and likes their friends seems like a good break from that.
I'm also looking at those. So if it's okay with the others, we would split those 2 between us.
Cool. Do you have a preference for either of them? They would both be delightful to me. Okay, well then I'll do the Vigilant of Denari.
Okay, then I'm the hunter. I don't know anything. I haven't seen any of the Mouser, but I hope I can still play it.
I mean, the archetypes are, I mean, that's how the character was designed, but, you know, the characters don't have a whole lot. I mean, you'll be able to glean a little bit about these characters' personalities by looking at their equipment, by looking at their gear list, and we'll get into that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of the other characters call out to Joe or David?
David, go ahead and choose. I'll pick from what's left.
Okay, I was just gonna say that between the 2 of us, one of us has got to take Occipitus because if we're play testing this thing, I want to see how magic works.
Agreed.
But I have no particular preference which one of us takes him. Do you care one way or the other?
No, in fact, I have played this game once before at Gen Con, and at that time I played a sorcerer. So why don't you go ahead and take the sorcerer if you'd like to, and that'll give somebody else a chance to do it.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So I'll take, well, you know what? Lorenzo and Lord Callio seem to be a set. So I guess I'll go with, was the Vigilant of Denari, Lucrezia? Was she still on the table?
No, I grabbed her. So there's still
Okay.
Kaleska.
Still
Yeah, Kaleska is sort of the barbarian.
Kaleska long scream. Sure, I'll take Kaleska.
Well, that also makes it convenient. That also makes it convenient because that means I'm not going to have to like shift. I'm not going to have to shift columns around on the character keeper because you picked the first 4. So that's
There you
awesome.
go. You're welcome.
Awesome, thank you. So we've got Kaleska and Quill and Lucrezia and Occipitus. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the game mechanics. So in Gumshoe games, your abilities fall under two categories. Characters have investigative abilities and they have general abilities. The basic rule of thumb is investigative abilities are stuff you know, and general abilities are things you do. Gumshoe was designed to be an investigative game where you're going through and trying to more or less solve mysteries. And at first, like Gumshoe for Sword and Sorcery doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But then when you step back and think about it and look at some of the source materials is for Sword and Sorcery. It's primarily it's primarily stories from like the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And in a lot of those, there is an investigation. The heroes, catch wind of a potential windfall. They follow up a few leads. They then go to the thing where the treasure is. Find out that some of their information was wrong. Have a big fight, and then leave victorious. So yeah, there's so like baked into the genre, there is usually some level of investigation. So the gumshoe. So unlike a lot of traditional games where when you're trying to find a clues, you have to make an investigate roll or make a perception check or stuff. In Gumshoe, if you have the investigative ability, you find the clue. So generally, the adventure is going to be written such that the clue can be found by having the following abilities. And if anyone has the following abilities, I just give you the clue. Where it gets interesting is trying to figure out what the clue means or how to act on it. So in Gumshoe, you have both ranks, and your number of ranks and ability also gives you a number of points, pool points that you can spend. Spending down your points does not remove your number of ranks. You will always have that number of ranks, but you can spend your points for extra you can spend your points for extra information or an extra bonus, or to do cool stuff that investigative ability may unlock. So, like for example, looking at Kaleska, she's got Intimidation 1. That means she's intimidating. If she wants to intimidate someone, if someone has information that they'll give out, if you browbeat them a little, yeah, you just tell us how you're being intimidating, and they'll probably spill. If you particularly want to get them to do something by intimidating them, you may have to spend a point. Some of the abilities will give you like more. Basically, spending a point gives you a certain amount of narrative control. Like for example, if you have city secrets and you're running around the city, you can conceivably spend a point of city secrets to declare that, well, I happen to know that the owner of this particular bookstore is on the take for the Thieves Guild, and since I'm a member of the Thieves Guild, if I go in there, he's going to let me access the secret panel in the back of his room that's going to lead down to the sewers. And you can just declare that by spending a point. So there's a number of those knowledge abilities that if you spend a point, you get a certain amount of narrative control, and you can introduce elements that then become canon. Another one that I particularly like is one called Forgotten Lore. Like if you spend a point of Forgotten Lore, you can declare something true. Like the example that's in the book is you could spend a point of Forgotten Lore to declare that, well, it's a little known fact in this city that on nights of the full moon in the harbor, at the stroke of midnight, horses can talk. So I'm going to declare that, and then I'm going to ask this horse that happens to be standing here, where did the bad guy that we're chasing go? And then from then on, for the rest of the campaign, at the stroke of midnight, on the nights of the full moon, horses can in the harbor area, horses can talk. Another thing you can do is in combat, you can spend when you're fighting someone in combat. You can if you can tell us why having a particular investigative ability would help you in the fight. You can spend a point to you can spend a point to add an extra die of damage. So, for example, if you're having a sword fight with someone, you could ask, "Hey, can I spend a point of nobility to give me extra damage in this fight?" And I would say, "Spend a point of nobility to improve your combat ability. Tell me more." And then you say, "Well, since I was raised by the nobility, they thought that it was very important for me to for me to be a skilled fencer. So throughout my youth, my parents, like taught me. My parents hired a series of skilled swordsmen to teach me dueling techniques from around the known world. To which I would then respond, "Well, then of course you can spend a point of nobility to increase your damage in this fight." That's investigative abilities in a nutshell. And again, the bottom line is you have a number of ranks. Your number of ranks equals a pool of points you can spend for extra abilities. So I'm also going to talk about general abilities. General abilities are how you do things. Gumshoe games, the game mechanics is generally pretty simple. You've got a target number, and you roll 1d6, and you are trying to beat a target number. That target number is almost always 3 or 4. You may spend points from your general ability to give yourself a bonus on the roll. So, for example, if you are in a sword fight with someone, I will generally tell you what the threshold you need to hit is. So in a fight, so let's say you're fighting a street thug. I'll say, well, he's not well armored. He's not particularly skilled. His threshold is 3. You need to roll a 3 or higher on a d6. If you don't want to spend any points, you can still just roll, and there's a good chance you might still hit. Or you could say, I am going to spend 2 points of warfare to give me a +2 on that die roll, which means the lowest you can roll, if you're spending 2 points on a d6, the lowest number you could roll is 3. So in that case, if you're fighting someone with a threshold of 3, that's an automatic hit. If you exceed their threshold by 5, that's going to be a critical hit, and you can do extra things. Generally, add another die damage, or you can take a free maneuver or something like that. There are two. Yes.
If you spend points, do we note it in the sheet?
Yes, noted on the sheet under. So on the sheet, there's both ranks and points. So never touch your ranks number, but as your points go down, so if you spend 3 points of warfare, drop your warfare by 3 points. General abilities will refresh at the end of a scene. Investigative abilities generally only refresh at the end of the adventure, which we'll have many scenes. When we do our intro. When we get to our introductory scene, I'm just going to tell you that spend as many investigative points as you want in the intro scene. That's all going to refresh by the time we get to like basically the A plot. The other thing about general abilities is if you have 8 or more ranks in an ability, it unlocks it unlocks a linked special ability. Like for example, if you have 8 or more ranks of athletics, it unlocks the ability dodge. Dodge gives you basically a defense roll that lets you attempt to avoid getting hit. So all of the general abilities have an additional ability that gets unlocked when you have 8 or more ranks. I think some gumshoe games call those cherries, but I've not encountered that rule before. So general abilities. So there are standard abilities and combat abilities. So standard abilities let you do stuff generally outside of combat. Combat abilities are how you fight. There are 3 combat abilities. There's warfare when you are attacking your opponent's like physical body. There is sway, which is a way to basically demoralize your opponent. And there's sorcery, which will affect either morale or health, depending on how you've defined that, what you're doing with magic. So basically, if you're so when you're fighting and when people are fighting you, you have both a health track and a morale track. If your health you're fine until your either your health or your morale drops to 0. If your health is between -5, if your health is below 0 but higher than -5, you're at a bit of a disadvantage. If your health gets below -5, you're fighting at a big disadvantage, and once you're at -10, you are out of the fight. Get into sorcery in a little bit, and little thing about gear. The gear listed for your characters, this isn't D&D. Gear represents your iconic stuff. Like on the cover of the novel of this version, how would the artist have painted your character? If your gear is iconic and it's really a part of your character, then it would be listed on your gear. And some gear is not necessarily a tangible thing. Sometimes, if you look at your gear list, some things are intangibles, like memories or attitudes or other things which are. So your gear kind of like is kind of a reflection of your character's personality. There was another pre-gen character that I saw that was like on the character's gear was a long list of enemies slain, a short list of enemies that still live, which gives you a little insight into the nature of the character. Sorcery. So if you are a sorcerer, sorcery is based on the investigative ability called corruption. Sorcery indicates that you have learned the dark secrets of sorcery from one of two sources. You could have either learned it from basically from a demon, or from a supernatural entity, or a fairy, or a lesser god that has given you knowledge, or you could have learned it from the ancient writings of the Serpent people. Whenever you use magic, you need to burn. You generally will burn sorcery points. You don't need if the magical effect that you are doing could be done by normal means. Generally, you don't need to spend corruption points to power the spell. However, if you want to do an effect that only magic could attain, then you'll need to burn 1 or more points of corruption. So, for example, if you had if you had the spirit's sphere of sorcery and you wanted to like use magic to like bring a book, like pull a book off the shelf and bring it to your hand, I would not require a sorcery spend, because you could conceivably walk across the room, pick up the book. If you wanted to turn the book invisible, then you would need. That's not something that you could do through normal means. So you'd probably need to spend a point of corruption in order to do that. When you spend a point of corruption, that is bringing evil supernatural forces into the world. And so when you use sorcery, you need to say whether when you're burning corruption to power your sorcery, you need to tell us whether you are internalizing that, in which case you are corrupting your own personal body, or if you are infusing it into the world around you, in which case that's called externalizing it. When you bring corruption into the world, it makes that place supernaturally weird. It'll attract monsters or ghosts. Using sorcery in the city is not illegal. However, causing corruption is. So if you are causing a lot of corruption in the city, you're going to get Inquisitors of Denari after you. Also, every sorcerer has a signature. So whenever you are using corruption, whenever you externalize corruption, someone who has seen you cast magic before are going to know who caused this particular kind of corruption. And they're probably going to come knocking at your door. I threw a lot of information at you. I think it's going to make a lot more sense once we actually get in game. A couple of other quick things. Characters have drives. Once per scene, if you tell us that you are using one that what you're doing, if you tell us that what you're doing is following one of your drives, that's going to reduce the difficulty by 1, which basically gives you, which effectively gives you a +1 on the roll. And those refresh at the end of the scene. Just take them. Just you can click the checkbox once you've used it.
Is that
go on?
Once per scene you can use a drive at all, or is it once per scene per drive?
Once per scene per drive. So yeah, so if you're so basically use those. That'll give you an edge if you're following your drive. And yeah, your drives will refresh basically when your general abilities refresh. That's usually at the end of the scene. I know I threw a ton of information at you on game mechanics, and like I said, it's going to make more sense once we get into the game. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay. I would like to call a 5-minute break. We'll come back and we will start play. So I have I have 10 minutes before the hour. So why don't we come back at 5 minutes before the hour and we will start. Awesome. See you in 5 minutes. waiting for everyone to come back. Everyone, so I know I ran, Cass and David were in my Mork Borg game yesterday, which was a hoot. Has anyone else been playing thus far on at GCOG this weekend?
Last night I got to play a Cortex Prime game that was very, very, very fun. We had some space station political drama.
Oh, fantastic! I've still never played Cortex. I know Jim Crocker, who's the organizer of he's this year's organizer of Gauntlet Community Open Gaming. He is a huge fan of Marvel Heroic, which was a Cortex Plus game. It's unfortunately out of print because that's the downside with licensed content for role-playing games. Is when you lose the license, you can no longer produce the game. It's not legally available either in print or PDF right now. But I guess he was backer of the new edition of Cortex Prime, so he's looking for that to come out.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that Kickstarter. I'm waiting for it to be available for purchase through stores and stuff. So it looks pretty intriguing, and I like what they did with the website with giving like a essentially a game away for free. You know, that Hammerheads they call it, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I did check it out. It looks pretty interesting. I'm probably gonna I may well I'm gonna see if I can get into a Cortex Prime game or two just to see how I like the system, and if I do, I'll probably pick it up like once it becomes generally available too.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'm gonna give it a shot myself if I can get into a game sometime.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know Swords of the Serpentine isn't out yet, but I know it's in final edit right now, and I know originally they were shooting for a Gen Con release this year, but COVID has been affecting printing and editing, so I know they're a bit behind schedule. I think they're shooting for a Christmas release right now, but I'm not 100% certain of that.
Well,
but it will be out soon. I have the I pre-ordered, so I have the Adventurers edition, which is it is the full text of the final book, but there's no layout. It's just like this. It looks like a giant Microsoft Word document with no graphics and no real editing, but all the info's there. Alrighty then, I think we are all back. So let's get started. So the four of you are aboard the merchant vessel, the Shining Coin. You are returning to Eversink from an unsuccessful mission elsewhere. What was your mission, and why was it unsuccessful? Lucrezia, what were you? Lucrezia, why did you join this mission in the first place?
Well, to begin with, the Shining Coin, what a great name. It's destiny that I would have gone on this ship. As I'm thinking that and thinking ruefully back on how everything went wrong, I'm playing with the holy coin that I have hanging around my neck.
And Kaliska, what was the nature of this adventure that the four of you had gone on?
Well, this was an expedition to gain glory in defeating the demons of Astray, who was making some trouble out in the outskirts. Unfortunately, demons being as they are, well, he proved much tougher to kill than expected. Even with a sorcerer with us, I can't believe this. I can't believe such a failure.
And Accipitus, how did you attempt to defeat this demon that proved unsuccessful?
demons are too rich in potential for me to try to eliminate them. I was attempting to bind him. But this is a considerably more complicated matter that it oftentimes goes wrong. So the fact that I attempted not to destroy the demon, but rather to rebuke it and bring it under my power, that's the big reason why it didn't work out. I made things a little bit more complicated than they needed to be, but don't tell the rest of the party that.
And Quill, how were you able to get everyone out of there? And how were you able to get everyone out of this situation, like more or less in one piece?
Well, I certainly wasn't the one who got everyone in there, because demons is definitely not my territory. My territory is the city and anything I can lay my hands on, and I don't count demons as such. So from the beginning, I was planned as kind of, I keep the back door open, which I did as much as I could, but I'm not the strongest one. But in the end, I managed to get everyone back on the ship, and the ship just kind of still holding on to harbor in the storm and with everyone running towards us. So I shoved everyone on the ship, pulled the plank so we could leave, and everyone else kind of crashed into each other, into the water, into the storm, and we kind of just made it out of the harbor before all hell broke loose.
I love it. Thank you. So you've been so you're back on the so you've been aboard the Shining Coin. So the Shining Coin is a small merchant vessel. It's got about a dozen crew members plus the plus officers. They're very competent sailors, but they are absolutely, like after you've talked with them a little bit, they are absolutely not combatants. Which was a bit of a problem when the ship was when your ship was overtaken. When your ship was overtaken by the renowned and infamous pirate vessel, what's the name of that vessel? Yes, your ship was your ship was overtaken and attacked and boarded by the infamous pirate vessel, the Squandered Hope. It raised the black flag that demanded you surrender. The captain attempted to run, and then found that Squandered Hope was a smaller but much faster and better armed ship than his own. The black flag was lowered, the red flag was raised, which meant that the captain is now not offering quarter. The ship has come alongside, has thrown grappling hooks. The ships are now bound together, and the pirates are dropping planks over, and waves of pirates are now coming over the gunwales to attack. The captain is terrified, as are the crew, and they are looking to you to help save the ship. I'll say one other thing is that the black flag, when it was raised, didn't have skull and crossbones. Instead, it had a picture of a skull with a coin between its teeth. Going to see, does anyone here have, hold on, double checking which skill this is. Does anyone here have either, let's see, that would be City Secrets, Felonious Intent, or Laws and Traditions? It looks like we've got a few. So I'm going to say anyone who has any of those skills recognizes this standard, and that is the ship is under the command of the infamous pirate Prussia Cointongue. She is known as a particularly bloodthirsty pirate. She is also known to any Any sailors who die during an attack, she places a coin in their mouth and throws them overboard as an offering to the god of the sea. That is what she attributes all of her luck to. So you are aboard. So you are aboard a ship that is being boarded by pirates. So we're gonna get right into a fight, and part of the point of this fight is to basically teach the rules of the game. So I'm going to say that because this is the introductory fight, and the idea for here is to basically figure out how this game works. I'm going to say normally your investigative abilities would not refresh because this is part of an adventure, but after this fight's over, everyone's going to be able to refresh everything. So feel no compunctions about hanging on to your investigative points. The other thing is in combat, we do this game uses popcorn initiative, which is the GM basically decides who goes first, based on essentially fictional positioning. And then after that's gone, the GM will pick who goes next. And then once the next character goes, they get to pick who goes after that until all of the combatants have gone, and then it's a new round, and we basically start over. One thing to keep in mind is if you pick all of your friends first, and then the last one to go is the bad guys. Well, if the GM's playing the bad guys, they could conceivably say, okay, well, this bad guy goes next, and then this bad guy goes next, and then this bad guy goes next. So sometimes it's to your favor to declare that a bad guy or a group of bad guys are going next. That way, the GM doesn't. That way, we're not able to send wave after wave of bad guys after you at once. So there are a whole bunch of pirates that are hopping aboard. Again, in game mechanics term, these pirates are mooks. They can hit pretty hard, but if you hit them once, they go down. One other thing I wish to mention is in combat, if you have 8 points in either sorcery or sway or warfare, you have an ability to affect multiple bad guys at once on your strike. So if you have either blast for sorcery or play to the crowd for sway or cleave for warfare, you're able to hit multiple targets at once. For every 3 points that you exceed their threshold, you can take out another one. So this is a good, like spending points to take out the bad guys now is good. There's one other mechanic that happens in this game, and that is called refresh points. Let me put some on the table. So refresh points are it's a common pool of points. We're going to generally use tokens, and any character who's their turn, you can spend points from your general abilities, or you could pull points from the accumulated refresh points pool to power your abilities. So if you've say run out of warfare points and you want to spend points in warfare, you can use some of the accumulated warfare points. Refresh points to power your warfare. And those can power any of the general abilities. And we do start with 5 on the table. For every mook that you defeat, you gain back a refresh point. For every lieutenant that you defeat, you get 3 refresh points. And for every boss, you get 5 refresh points. Refresh points any unused refresh points at the end of the scene go away, and then in the next scene we'll just start with a pool of 5. That makes sense?
Are we capped at 5? Can we exceed that number if we do especially well in combat, or just don't use refresh points, or is 5 the maximum and then it goes back up to 5 as we plow through enemies?
5 is the minimum. I should say 5 is the minimum that you'll start with in a scene. So when you burn normally in the game that would be like a basket of tokens that you'd use. So you can like pull tokens out and like toss them aside. So So basically, when you gain refresh points by defeating enemies in combat or otherwise achieving role playing points, those are points that you can use to fuel your general abilities.
And it's a collective pool that we're drawing from.
It's a collected pool that all players are drawing from. So cool. So there are pirates coming over the gunnels. Where are you? So Lucrezia, where are you in position as aboard the Shining Coin as these pirates are coming over the gunnels?
So, seeing the flag of Prussia Coin Tongue, Lucrezia just grins. I've been looking for an excuse to make up for that failure back in the battle against the demon. So I think just standing as near to the incoming boat as possible, waiting for them to throw planks over and meet them at the fore.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm just going to go across the table to figure out where you are as the pirates start coming over to help figure out who goes first. Kaleska, how about you?
Well, Kaleska sees that the captain. She looks back and she sees that the captain at the wheel is cowering, and his men are confused. So she draws her obsidian sword. She goes to stand beside Lucrezia, and she calls to the crew members to organize around her, saying, "To me, we let's repel these foul invaders."
Fantastic. Same question to Ecipitus.
I am going to be on the quarter deck, kind of where the ship's wheel might be, kind of one tier above the main deck of the ship. And I am kind of next to the railing with the stairs going up and down on either side of me. And I am quietly reaching for my tome of forbidden lore as I survey my domain like a great battlefield tactician controlling his pawns, and that is the attitude that I bring to virtually every one of these situations.
Awesome. And Quill, where are you setting up as this fight begins?
All right, I'm somewhere on a slightly higher vantage point with the plan to eventually grab a rope and kind of swing over the intruders, kind of hitting their heads with my feet.
Fantastic. I think we're going to start with Quill because that seems like very swashbucklery and very very piratical. So the Squandered Hope has come alongside. The pirates aboard have thrown grappling hooks and lines across that have hooked on your gunnels, like more than a dozen, and they're heaving the ships to. There's a thud as the two wooden hulls collide against each other. As the pirates aboard the other ship are lash their lines to various belaying points on their ship. Planks are going across, and waves of pirates that have cutlasses drawn are hopping aboard the planks and are about to run across. Quill, you are up in the rigging. You have a rope in hand. So describe what it is you are intending to do.
Okay, so I'm waiting until the first of them are nearly on our ship. Then I kind of gather some momentum, hold on to the rope, and kind of swing myself like in an outgoing arch, like over them, feet first. So I want to hit them with my feet so they crash against each other, fall into the water. And if this slows me down too much, I start kind of running on their heads, on their shoulders, yeah, pushing them off and getting myself out of danger zone.
Fantastic. Okay. We are opening with instead of straight up fight, this is going to be a maneuver. So it sounds like instead of rolling a combat ability, we're going to be using a general ability to affect this. So this is going to be an athletics check.
I have athletics.
You have athletics. You have 8 ranks in athletics. So I'm going to say that so I'm going to say that this is going to work more or less like a warfare cleave, since you have. So I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you do an athletics check to like knock a bunch of the bad guys off of the gunnels. So if you could click over on the safety and resources tab.
On the what? Sorry?
On the character keeper, if you could click over onto the safety and resources tab. Over on the rightmost column, there is a link that says link to shared dice roller. So if we could all click that, we're going to be looking at, that goes to a utility called Roll for Your Party. You should see 2 dice that are already on the table and 5 refresh tokens already there. I'm going to say that the threshold you'll need to do here is 3, and for every 3 points that you exceed that, you can knock another of the pirates off the. You can knock another one of the pirates off of the gunnels, and once they fall into the water, they're basically out of the fight.
Okay.
So the way you can do that, you can like basically just click on one of the dice. Tell me whether you're using the blue or the green one. You can click on one of the dice, and then you can hit the re-roll selected button, and it'll roll. Let us know. So the threshold is going to be 3, so that's the target number. So that'll knock one of them off. For every 3 points of athletics you wish to spend, that's going to give you. For every point of athletics you spend, that's going to give you a +1 on that die roll. So how many points do you wish to spend? And you can also choose to use some of those refresh tokens instead of or in addition to your athletics points.
How many pirates are like in my target range? Is it more like 5 or 20? Or?
I was going to say at this point, coming over the gunnels, I'll say as you swing down, you have a maximum number of targets in your arc. You could conceivably hit up to 6 of them.
Okay. I would invest. I hope I understood everything correctly with the points and everything, but I would invest 4 points of athletics.
Okay.
And I'm using the blue dice.
Okay. Go ahead and select the blue die and hit re-roll selected, and it's going to be whatever you roll +4.
So also the first roll is called re-roll.
Yeah, hit re-roll selected. Okay, 4 plus 4 is 8. Threshold is 3, so 3, 6. You swing across and you knock 2 off the gunnels. What does that look like?
Okay. So Quill swings feet first over the pirates, misses the first pirate who is dodging her, hits the second who tries to dodge but doesn't manage, but the second one can hold on to the third one. So she effectively knocks off the 4th pirate who kind of is struggling, trying to hold on to the 5th pirate, and pulls the 5th pirate, and both fall into the water.
Fantastic. Love it. Who do you wish to go next?
Lucrezia.
Great. So emboldened by Quill's dramatic maneuver, Lucrezia screams, "My Denari's coffins! They will not take our ship!" and starts rushing across the plank. So she's got her mace, swinging back and forth, bashing people with her shield. So yeah, I'm gonna try to take advantage of my cleave ability in warfare and knock out a few of these mooks. Okay, so is it the same deal in terms of the 3 base threshold and then 1 more per 3 success?
Correct. Correct.
Great. Okay.
That's how it works. And so you're like physically bashing their heads. Got it.
Yeah.
That's definitely a warfare check. So and you do indeed have cleaves. So yes, for every
Okay.
3 you exceed by 3. So basically it's 3, 6, 9, etc. You'll defeat yet another one.
Awesome. So I'm going to spend 4 points. No, yeah, 4 points of warfare, and I'm also going to mark off the love and duty of the goddess as my drive. These pirates have taken too many lives and mocked Denari by putting coins in their mouths, and I cannot let this stand.
Fantastic.
So all right, rolling the die.
Okay. So yeah.
There it is. All right.
I'm sorry. Which die did you roll?
The blue one. So with the 4 spend and the 1 for the drive, that is a 6 in total.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. You eliminate 2 pirates. What does that look like?
So let's see. I think that looks like meeting them as they're starting to get to the edge of the ship and just standing firm. So, like bashing aside one blow and catching someone upside the head with the mace. And then as, another pirate screams and comes in, just like, I think taking his legs out from under him on the backswing.
Fantastic. Love it. Who should go next?
Bad guys.
Bad guys. All right. Let's see. So, Lucrezia, you've knocked two. So you're standing at like one set of the gunnels or one set of the boarding planks as they're coming over. Let's say that you've eliminated 2. I was basically going to say that there was going to be 4 per PC. So you've knocked 2 out. So 2 of them are fighting you. So I'm going to check your threshold for health is 3. So they need to roll a 3 or more. I'm going to take each of these. So each of these pirates. So the pirates do actually have a small number of points that they can spend as well. So there's only two of them, so I'm going to roll both of these dice at once, and they're each going to have a +1 on this die, so they are looking to get a 3 or higher. Okay, one of them hit. It does not exceed your threshold by 5, so it's a normal hit. Okay, so you successfully you parry one of their. So as they jump, so they are now on your ship. They've jumped over. They're trying to tag team you. You successfully block one of the. You block one of their cutlasses with your shield, but that left an opening, and these 2 pirates have apparently worked together, and the other one struck just as you were hit, just as you had the shield, and slashes you for 6 health.
All right. Does my armor reduce that?
Your armor does reduce that. Let's see. You have 1 armor. I'm sorry. You have 2 armor. So yes, that reduces it by 2.
All right. So I will lose 4 HP. Great.
Okay, so that was the first group of pirates. So, Kaluska, you said you were also waiting for the pirates to come aboard.
Yes, I was brandishing drew my obsidian sword, and I was calling the crew of our ship to me, and so I'm standing at the railing where one of the planks where there's pirates coming over the planks.
Okay.
over the plank.
Okay.
I-
So I'm sorry. Go on.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a fiery kind of curious look in my eye. I'm going to look down at the plank. I'm going to use my spot frailty investigative ability.
If I could interrupt, I was asking because it's still the bad guys are going, and there's
I'm
more
sorry.
bad guys. I was trying to figure out where you were to figure out how like figure out like
I thought
figure out where you were to
asking me
figure.
next.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope. No. I think I will have you go next, but if you, I just was trying to figure out like where people were because Quill is I remembered that Precipitous is up by the is up on the quarterdeck, so he's not immediately there. And Quill is now back up in the rigging, so I think you're the only other target right now. So a group of 4 pirates is swarming you. Let's see. That is 1. Okay, it looks like 2 of the so 4 of the pirates just like bum rush you over the gunnels, and they're just like they're all swinging, and 2 of them managed to tag you. Oh, that's right. These guys don't roll damage. Yeah, so 2 of them each managed to tag you with their filthy saber for each for 3 points of damage. So
may I use my dodge?
You may absolutely use your dodge. Let me double check to see how dodge works. So with dodge, yeah, hold on. Give me just a sec to make sure I got the rules right on this.
Sure, no problem.
It's been a while since I've run this game. I'm pretty sure it's. I'm pretty sure you need to beat their. To dodge, I think you need to beat what their attack roll was. But let me just double check that. I just want to make sure I got the rules right here. Okay, dodge. You can try to dodge or parry attacks against your health after you've successfully been attacked, but before your full rolls damage, you may spend at least 1 point of athletics and roll an athletics test. You must exceed the attacker's successful result. So if their result was a 5 to attack you, your result must be 6 or higher to successfully dodge. And yeah, the 2 that tagged you actually both rolled a 5. So so you can attempt to dodge. You can attempt to dodge both of them, but each one is good. But you're going to need to roll. You're going to need to roll 1 for each of the attacks, and the target. So you're going to need to get a 6 or higher.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and it'll be separate spend for each, right?
Separate spend for each, yes.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and take damage from one of them, but the other
Okay.
one I'm going to attempt to dodge. I'm going to
Okay.
spend 3 points.
Okay.
So that'll put me down to 5 there, and I'll be using the blue die.
Okay.
Don't know why it's not rolling.
Yeah, there's roll for your party's been a little slow recently. Does it look like it's spinning on your screen?
No. It's got a red box around it.
Okay. Yeah, if it's got a red box around it, you can click the green re-roll selected button, and that should roll it.
Okay. Then I guess I got a 6.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, you successfully dodged. You have successfully dodged one of the attacks. So you do take 3 damage, but your armor applies. Looks like you have 1 armor, so that's going to reduce the damage by 1. So take 2 health.
Great. All right, there we go.
And who goes next? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was me going. So more pirates come aboard. Quill, they can't get to you because you're up in the rigging. Accipitus, they can't get up to you because you're on the quarterdeck. Although it looks like some of the pirates are like running up the stairs up the quarterdeck, so they'll probably get to you next round. I am going to say that since Kaluska's in the thick of things, that it is now Kaluska's turn.
Okay, so Kaleska, she takes this. She takes a sword hit to the side. She decides that to dispatch these two dirty pirates. I'm going to go ahead and use. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at what these do.
Got it. Yeah, if you, I think someone did point it out. If you hover over the investigative ability, it gives you it gives you a brief description of what it's for. It doesn't really get into the game mechanics, but that's the general gist of what the ability does.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and Are there more? Do I see more of these pirates coming across the plank towards me?
Yeah, it does look like there's another wave that's getting ready to come over. But it's going to be a round or two before they're in the fray.
Are they on the plank or are not on the plank?
They're not on the planks yet. Okay. It looks like there's another line of pirates that are aboard the pirate ship, and they're waiting for the ones that have gone over to like also swarm over. So.
Okay, well then I'm going to do my dance of death here, and go ahead and take on these two pirates that have made the mistake of attacking me. So I guess that's a warfare roll.
That would be a warfare roll, yes. Okay. And remember,
great.
you can spend the and you can spend in addition to and remember you can spend in addition to your warfare points, you can also spend refresh points. So sure. When you're fighting mooks, it's sometimes a good idea to like blow a lot of points soon to knock out a lot of mooks, because those will each mook you drop will give you a refresh point back.
Great. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and spend. I'm going to use a warfare roll. I'm going to go ahead and spend. I guess. Am I allowed to spend as many refresh points as is on the table?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to spend it. Yeah, I'm not going to spend it all. I'll spend 3 refresh points. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll also spend 2 of my warfare points.
Okay, so you're rolling +5. I'm going to take 3 of the refresh points off the table.
Okay. And I'm glad I spent 5. So I rolled a 1. I was rolling the blue die.
Yep. You have taken out, so the 4 pirates that are on you. You have taken out 2 of them. What does that look like?
Oh well, the obsidian sword moves almost as a blur. As I step beside one and I hamstring him as he goes down, and I push him over into the ocean. And the other who's swinging behind me, I step back into him and reverse the grip of my sword and run him through the chest.
Fantastic. And he just goes down on the deck in a pool of his own blood.
Yep.
I think the last combatant to go is Accipitus.
Okay, so I'm trying to come up with ideas here as to how I can utilize my sorcerer's spheres here, given that we're already on the high seas and there might not be a whole lot of stone and plants nearby.
Boats are made of wood.
Boats, we do have
boats
the
are
whole
made of
ship
wood.
is a plant, in a manner of speaking.
Boats are made of wood. There's probably seaweed there's probably seaweed stuck to the sides to both ships. You could even do something like this would require a corruption spend, but you could conceivably even say that you're causing the seeds you're causing the plants in the You're causing the plant material that is in the stomachs of your opponents to suddenly like grow up out of them. I've seen someone use that for use the plant spears to do that, cause bodily damage.
Got it.
I mean, with a stone spear, again, it would require a spend. But you could say that you conjure magical stones out of the sky that fall on them.
Got it.
With magic, magic is very freeform in this game. It can basically do whatever you want it to do, as long as it's as long as it's related to your spear. You really have a lot of narrative control over what the special effects are.
Got it.
If you're using it to fight, it basically works just like a combat ability. You use your sorcery points instead of you use sorcery points to attack them. And it'll affect either their morale or their health depending on and I think it's yes. So if if the sphere is going to attack health, health is checked. A sphere can affect one or the other, and it's generally defined when you define your sphere. But yeah, it can have basically any effect that you want. The more magical effect that you want, the more powerful effect you want. You're going to need to power it with a corruption spend. However, if you're doing something that could conceivably be done with through normal means, you don't necessarily need to spend corruption. Although if you choose to spend corruption, that can increase the power of the effect. So, for example, if you wanted to say, I'm going to conjure stones out of the sky that pelt them for normal damage, I wouldn't necessarily say you need you'd need a spend for that, because you could conceivably be throwing rocks. But if you wanted them to be like burning rocks or like a boulder that lands on them, then yes, that would you'd probably need to spend corruption to power that effect.
Got it. So what I'm thinking then is my character seems to have kind of a vaguely Jafar from Aladdin kind of snake quality to him, based on this good luck charm that's shaped like a snake in his inventory. So I wonder if I might be able to take some of the kind of loose rope that is tied about the sides of the ship, something along those lines, animate it to basically behave in a snake-like manner, and have this loop about the people who are charging up the stairs toward me in an effort to either restrain them, throw them down the stairs, or even better, throw them off the ship, if I can do something like that. And that might be a way of animating plant matter.
Absolutely. So you're going to use your plant sphere to manipulate the ropes to physically restrain or knock them off the ship.
That's the idea, yes.
Okay. Animating ropes. Yeah, I don't think that necessarily requires a corruption spend. So if you want to just straight up spend, if you want to just straight up make a sorcery attack with that. If you wish to use corruption on this, you can. That'll like infuse this with extra magical energy. So you can use that to do extra damage, say. So for every point you spend, the damage you do increases by a die. Or if you want to spend it on your attack roll, that'll give it, for every point you spend, that'll give you a +3 on your attack roll.
Got it. And do I have to decide that before making the roll, whether I would want to do damage versus the attack?
Yes, you do have to declare that before you make the roll.
Okay. Well, just to see, how it all works, I'll spend like a point of corruption in an effort to add more damage.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. So I will do that. That takes me down to 2, and I'm also spending 4 points of sorcery. So I spend, I think, is it 1 die or 2?
So when you're attacking, it's going to be 1 die plus the number of points that you spend. Oh, and I just realized I forgot to add two refresh tokens for the 2 that Callista took out.
Okay, so if I'm spending 4 points of sorcery, I just roll d6 plus 4.
Yep.
And then deal additional damage
from
the corruption.
Okay, so you do d6 plus 4. Looks like you rolled a 3.
Well, I didn't roll it yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just rolling the blue die down at the bottom. I think that is a 1.
Okay. Let me expand. I've got the die roller on my smallest screen, so I can't quite see that. Let me pull that down. There we are. Yeah, that looks like a 1. 1
Okay.
plus the number of points that you spent. You said you spent 4.
That's correct. So 5 total.
Okay, so that's a 5. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to retcon this just a little bit. I'm going to say that increasing the dice damage when you're fighting mooks isn't necessarily a great thing to do because mooks generally only have 1 hit point. So if we want to retcon, and that's my bad.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, because they only take 1 hit anyway.
Yeah, because they only take 1 hit to go down. So if you want to apply that to your attack roll, that's if you wanted to apply that corruption spend to your attack roll, then that would have made it a let's see, you spent 4 or 5. That'd give it a +3, so that'd be an 8.
That works for me. We'll go with 8.
Okay, and that's going to take out 3 of them. And yeah, so your animated ropes takes out 3 of the pirates that were that were like what, the ones that were coming up the stairs to potentially attack you.
Yes, prioritizing my own safety.
There we go. So what does that look like?
I imagine that there are coils of kind of loose extra rope that are hung sort of from the sides of the interior ship walls, and as they run past them, they sort of snake out, slithering through the air, forming makeshift nooses and so forth, grabbing people, wrapping them, by the thigh, by the neck, by the torso, and kind of hurling them, yanking them over the side of the ship, and then they kind of just whip back into their original position about as quick as they animated. You have to be a very close watch to be able to notice this even happening.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, yeah, 3 pirates go overboard. Hop back to the die roller. There we are. And you've got, that adds 3 more tokens to the pool. Okay, it is a new round. Who will, so Acipitus, who is going to go first? You can say yourself if you want to keep going.
I think I'll throw it back over to Quill.
All right. Well, as I'm Quill, if I understand correctly, I'm a trap builder and I have preparedness. So obviously, I knew that while we are on the ocean, so it's very likely we will be attacked by pirates. And if not, I still had an afternoon of fun. So I built a little trap. And the day before, I had taken a piece of tarpaulin, like from the sails, and attached it like to the, oh gosh, what's the word? The where you have this piece of wood coming up on the side of the ship, where they have to jump over. Attached it there, hanging down and a bit onto the ship. So now I can kind of pull a rope or pull a lever so that this piece of cloth basically comes up and the 1 or 2 pirates standing on it are like pushed up and pushed out back into the ocean.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm going to say cool. Normally with the game mechanics, with preparedness, in order to say that you had done that beforehand and then spring it now, normally you would need to have the flashback move, which requires 8 points of preparedness. I like it, so we're gonna go as if you've let's see. Tell you what, one thing that you can do with investigative points is act as, you can sometimes, if you can give us a good reason why, you can do an investigative spend to allow you to have a general ability that you don't normally have. So for example, normally setting that up ahead of time would require that you have the flashback skill. But I do see that you have the skullduggery skill as an investigative point. So I would say that you could spend a point of skullduggery to have had the foresight to set that up ahead of time, as if you had the preparedness skill. So I'm going to say yes, you can totally do that if you spend a point of skullduggery.
Okay, so it wouldn't go on preparedness.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to yeah, you'll so you'll need to spend 1 point of skullduggery. So I'm gonna do that there.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, this is going to be, so to do this, this is going to be a preparedness check. So you do have 2 points. And again, I'm going to work this more or less the way we were doing the more or less, again, this is a maneuver, so this will still take people out since these are mooks. So you can go ahead and spend preparedness plus refresh points on this die roll. And again, it's going to work pretty much the same way. The target is 3, and for every 3 that you exceed, you're going to take out another mook.
Okay, so I'm spending both my points of preparedness. And
you can also spend, and there's like 3, 6, yeah, there's 9 refresh points on the board. So you can spend as many of those as you want.
okay, I'll spend 4 then.
Okay, you're going to spend 4 refresh points. Plus your 2 preparedness, which means you are at plus 6 on the die.
Okay, I'm using the blue die.
Okay.
And I rolled a 6.
There we go.
Yeah.
6 plus 6 is 12. You have knocked off. You have removed 4 pirates from play. So what is that? So what? Tell us what that looks like.
Okay. So while Quill had thought she would be quite useless in a fight against Pirate, she now sees how it pays off when she spent last afternoon preparing this little, what she thought was a silly trap, and she was just having fun. But hey ho, now it comes in so handy. So she jumps down on the deck to the lever which she has built, fitting to her small size, throws in all her weight, grabs onto this other sack of heavy stuff so that she isn't lifted up when the liver goes down, pulls it, and the tarpaulin is rushed up, and by coincidence, a 4th pirate had just stepped onto it, so even the 4th pirate loses his balance, and all 4 of them fall off the ship.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Okay, so who do you wish to go next?
Okay, bad guys.
Bad guys. All right. So at this point, let's see. So at this point, you're now on. So Quill is now on the deck, but you have eliminated the 4 pirates that were closest to you. So you're more or less safe. Kaleska, I believe there were 2 that were still fighting you. I am going to so the 2 that are on Kaleska attack. Does look like they both hit. Do you wish to do you wish to attempt to dodge?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go ahead and dodge one of them. I'll spend let's see, they rolled a 6 and a 3.
They rolled a 6. Yeah, they rolled a 6 and a 4.
A 6 and a 4. Okay. I'll go ahead and spend 3 points from the pool.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
And
pull 3 points off.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and spend I'll spend 3 points from the pool, and I'll also spend 3 points from my athletics pool.
Okay.
For the dodge. And then and so it'll be +3 to 2 individual rolls.
+3 to 2 individual rolls. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the blue die first.
Okay.
3 plus 3 is 6.
Okay, that works.
Green die. 2 plus 3 is 5.
Got it. Okay, you managed to dodge one.
Okay.
So tell us how you deftly dodge one of their filthy cutlasses, and how the other one manages to nail you.
Yes. So the fact is I look back towards the rest of the crew of our ship, which is something that is a bad habit of mine when I'm in combat. So I took my attention off these two. I look back, staring daggers at them. One of these two pirates takes the cutlass to swing at my head, which I deftly duck, but I didn't, of course, in my not paying attention, see the other, and he comes up with one of those what are they called, the pins that they tie the rope around,
Belaying pin, yes.
Belaying pin, yes. He comes up and he smashes me across the back with it as I'm ducking out of the way of his friend. That, of course, makes me mad to no end.
Awesome. Okay, that attack does 3 points of damage. Armor applies.
Okay.
On
So
health.
that'll be 2 more. Gotcha.
And remember, you're fine until you get to 0.
Yeah. Yep. No problem.
Okay, so that was the 2 on Paleska, and there's also still 2 on Lucrezia. They are each spending 1 point. Oh, and I got boxcars.
Yeeks.
They both hit you. Lucrezia, you do not have dodge, so these are just going to both hit. Each of the 2 attacks does 3 points of damage. Your armor applies. Looks like you have 2 armor, so that'll reduce your health by 2. Want to tell us what that looks like as these 2 pirates kind of wail on you?
Yeah, so let's see. So we established that the 2 of them are familiar with fighting together, and so they're managing to flank me. They've got it so that, I've only got the 1 shield, so as soon as I'm trying to block one, the other goes in for a jab, and it's just dizzying the way that they're ducking and maneuvering around me, and I can't keep up.
Okay, fantastic. And finally, the last of the pirates that are on the board. There's one that was running up the stairs to the quarterdeck, that managed to avoid all of the animated ropes, and he is he sees this wizard with a tome and is coming at you with a scimitar, or with a cutlass rather. Rolling the green die. Yeah, he got you pretty hard. Precipitous. So he hits you through. So this pirate rushes at you and slashes at you with his cutlass and does 3 points of damage. Looks like you have no armor, which makes sense because you're a wizard. So it'll reduce your health by 3. Want to tell us what that looks like?
Oh, I imagine what it happens, or what it looks like is this guy makes it up the stairs, and I'm able to dodge out of the way of the blade proper, so I'm not, slashed to ribbons by it, but he's able to come back around and conk me with the hilt right on the side of my head, dealing some amount of concussive damage to me.
Fantastic.
I'm not out yet, still conscious, still hurts.
Got it.
It's gonna leave a lump.
Okay. Awesome. So that was all of the bad guys. That was the pirates. The pirates are now going to choose. To put another combatant on put 2 more combatants onto the battlefield. at this point, like stepping onto the gunnels is clearly not a regular pirate. This is clearly someone of this is a guy who's big hulking guy. He's wearing an eye patch. He has very little neck and a very kind of a square shaped head. Pale skin, pale cropped hair, and some remarkably obscene tattoos. He is holding a giant maul, like a two-handed square, squared off warhammer, kind of like if you could imagine, like Thor's warhammer, but with a longer haft. So he has stepped onto the gunnels, and he sees, and like of the opponents, I think he is going to choose to engage with Kaleska. So he rapidly approaches, and he swings sideways, like almost as if it was a hammer-headed baseball bat. It looks like what he's trying to do is like catch you, and then with the momentum, like knock you off the side of the ship. He's going to spend. Okay, so he is going to spend 2 points on his attack roll. And he's also going to spend 3 additional points of his own point pool to invoke a special maneuver. So I'm going to roll the die and add 2. Roll the green die. And that didn't roll. Let me try that again. Okay, that's a 3 plus 2 is a 5. And Kaleska, your threshold is 4, so we did beat you. Do you wish to attempt to dodge?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The Kaleska is going to, she sees this coming from a mile away. So he rolled a 5, did you say?
He rolled a 5, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and take 3 points from the pool and 1 point from my athletics. So
okay.
That's...
So you're going to be rolling plus 4. Let me remove those points.
Yep. All right.
Which die are you rolling?
The green die.
Okay. And
2 plus
4.
4 is 6.
Is 6, and that beats his 5. So you successfully dodged the blow. Excellent.
Yep. Yeah. As the hammer comes towards my side, I'm able to actually jump over the hammer as it's coming through, and I come down in a fighting stance.
Fantastic. Awesome. So that was the first mate's move, and I am going to declare the next combatant is going to be, at this point, like stepping onto the gunnels of her ship is a very well dressed pirate. She's wearing a jaunty tricorner hat with a big red plume. She has a no. She is holding a gleaming silver-bladed like rapier in her hand. She is like very well dressed in a she's very well dressed in like the captain's jacket of like a member of the Royal Navy. Like presumably she stole from an actual Navy captain. But it's tied together with a red sash because it's like way too big for her. And she smiles and she smiles as she surveys like what her like what her pirates are about to do, and you can see that all of her teeth are made of gold. She also has like shoulder length curly dark hair. And she shouts, and she shouts, this ship is now the booty of Captain Coin Tongue. You shall all surrender or die. She is making a morale attack.
Can I reply with taunt?
When it's your turn, yes. So she is, let's see, what's she got for special abilities here? Yeah, she's just making a straight up, she's just making a straight up sway attack. I think she's directing it at Lucrezia, who she sees as probably, whom she recognizes as a sentinel of Denari. So she's going to spend 3 points here, and I am going to roll the die. So she got a 6 versus your morale threshold of 3.
4 for me, actually.
4 for you. I'm sorry. Yes, I was looking at the wrong character.
Still beats it.
Okay. So yeah, that is a morale hit. I rolled a 1 on the die, so you take 2 morale damage. Your grip applies, so so you take 1 morale. Awesome. So at this, I am going to invoke Open Door, and I'm going to call a 2-minute break because I need to step away for a moment. Be back in 2 minutes.
What, 10 minutes? What was it?
I heard 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, looks like we're back. Thank you, folks. Okay, so Captain Cointongue has just made a morale attack. That is the end of the. That is the last of the bad guys. So I think I am going to turn to Accipitus. You are fighting one of the pirates up on the quarterdeck. What do you do?
I am. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is perhaps optimal play or not, but just because I think that flavor-wise it makes sense, I might try to, as long as he's kind of on top of me and I'm thrown off guard and I just got hit with the, blunt end of his hilt, I'm the pommel, I guess. I'm thinking I will actually reach into my cloak, withdraw my curved dagger, and see if I can eliminate this guy just one-on-one in kind of a sneaky stab him in the side kind of a way.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be a warfare attack.
Okay, I will spend my 1 warfare point, not very many.
Got it. And there are 3 refresh points that you could still on the table that you could use.
That's a good point. How many do we get for defeating a mook?
You get 1 point back for a mook.
I'll go ahead and spend 1 refresh point then.
Okay, so you're at +2 on the die. The threshold is 3.
Okay, and I'm rolling the blue one. 2 + 2 is 4.
Okay. You stab him and take him out. What does it look like?
He strikes me on the side of my head with the pommel of his cutlass, and in response, I whirl around as my back is turned to him. I reach into my cloak, and as I turn, I grab him with my left hand, pull him in, stab him in between the ribs with my right hand, and it's all a very kind of sneaky, conniving sort of feel is my approach to hand-to-hand combat.
Fantastic. Yeah, he goes down. That's taking a point off the board and putting 1 back, so I'm not going to bother. So we still have 3 refresh points on the board. Who will go next? Accipitus?
I'm trying to think who hasn't gone in a while.
I think Quill and I are the ones who haven't gone in this round.
Okay, got it. I will just keep doing what I've been doing and shoot it over to Quill.
All right. Well, Quill, on the one hand, is impressed by this lady who kind of is like master of the pirates and has this flashy uniform, really looking good. But she resists the temptation to join her side just because she's impressing her. And is trying to think up some taunts, which she usually is quite good at. So here she has to overcome herself a little bit because she does like this lady. But then she will throw like some insults at her, like along the lines of, haha, Captain Cointongue, you who put only the cheapest coins on your victims' tongues. You think that will impress Denari? Never, she's laughing upon you. And kind of trying to squash her morale.
Fantastic. Okay, that's going to be a sway attack. I would recommend, so you are definitely taunting her. So the way I would recommend that you play this is go ahead and make a sway attack. So you're going to be using your sway to power this attack. And again, you can use up to the 3 points that are on there. And assuming you hit, you can then spend a point of taunt to throw an extra die of morale damage.
Okay, so I'm using both my points of sway.
Okay.
And then I roll the dice, right?
Yep. So you're going to. Do you want to spend any of the refresh points that are on the board? There are up to 3 that can also add.
Yeah, I'll use 1.
Okay. You're going to be at plus. Okay. So that means you will be at +3 on the die.
Yep, and I'm using the green die.
And just to let you know, I'll tell you, her threshold is 4. So
okay.
So if you're spending 2 and 1 is 3, so it's gonna be an automatic hit. You're at +3 on the die. So the worst you can roll is a 4, which will hit.
Okay, I already rolled a 3.
Okay, you rolled a 3. Okay, 3 plus 4 is 7, which does not exceed your threshold by 5, so it's not a critical hit, but you, spending a point of taunt, yes, you may roll 2, so a sway attack normally does a d6 plus 1 damage. Now that we are fighting opponents that have more than one hit, that have more than one hit point, I do want to let you know one additional rule. Is when you are rolling damage, the minimum amount of damage you can do on the base die is the number of points that you spent. So you spent 3 points. So when you roll your damage die, if it is less than 3, it still does 3 plus 1. That only counts on your basic die. If you're throwing if you got bonus dice, that doesn't affect your bonus dice. So go ahead and pick which. So I say go ahead and roll both dice. Tell us which one is your base.
Okay, the blue one is my base.
Okay. So go ahead and roll both dice.
Okay, blue one I rolled a 1.
Okay, so that bumps up to a 3 because you spent 3 points on that.
And green one I rolled a 2.
Okay. Okay, so that's 3 plus 2 is 5 plus another 1 because sway attacks do plus 1. So that's going to be 6 points of morale damage. She looks taken aback at that, but a little taken aback at that, but she's still going strong.
Which, on the one hand, Quill is disappointed because this was the best insight she could think of. On the other hand, she's even more impressed by the captain.
She takes this insult and she smiles widely, and and she kind of, she clearly heard it. She smiles, she locks her gaze on yours and does a little bow with a flourish with her hat. Quill, who shall go next?
Quill looks back at her in the way of, come on, give me something back. And then I think it's Lucrezia's turn.
All right. So I'm still, I've got the 2 pirates dancing around me, keeping me off my balance. So I am going to try to finish these 2 off in one fell swoop. So I'm going to do, as they've been circling around me, and it seems like I've been totally off balance, I've actually been looking at the deck of the ship. So I'd like to spend a point of vigilance because I've noticed that there's one board on the deck that's up a little bit, and I'm going to try to catch one of these guys so that he trips over it.
Okay. So you're using vigilance to affect. You're going to spending a point of vigilance will let you will give you a +3 on the die.
Okay. So I'll do that as well as spend 2 points of warfare, such that no matter what I roll, I'll get both of these suckers.
Got it. Yep. You're at +5 on the die.
All right. I am rolling the blue die. Got a 1. That's fine.
Yep. Okay. You have taken 2 mooks out. Let me put 2 tokens on the board. Okay. Yes, you have cleared the mooks you've cleared the pirates that are around you. Yeah. I think at this point there are only the 2 pirates left on Kaleska, if I'm remembering correctly.
That sounds right, yeah.
And then the 2 officers that are on the gunnels. It looks like there are more pirates behind them. So it is, so Lucrezia, I think that ends the round. Who should go first on the next round?
Me again. I have ideas. All right. So the pirate that went sprawling, he's surprised and just out flat on the deck. And the other one that had been surrounding me, I just lunge at him and headbutt him dead on. So I've got blood streaming down my face from my forehead. And I turn to the gangplank and whip out a pair of manacles that I have and just start walking across towards Captain Prescia Cointongue, and just shout a challenge. You're going to see 1 year in the inside of a cell for every life you've taken, pirate. So gonna try to sway her.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's absolutely a sway attack. Once you hit, you can also then choose to use you can choose to use investigative abilities to bump up your damage. One other thing I did want to mention about using investigative points to bump up your damage, you can only choose one investigative ability at a time, but you can spend as many points from that as you wish. So you can't say use both intimidate and taunt at the same time. But if you have multiple ranks in one or the other, you can spend as many points from that one pool as you wanted.
Sweet.
So yeah, her threshold is 4.
All right,
so this is a sway attack.
I'm going to use my drive of arresting a miscreant. I'm going to spend all 3 of my points of sway and 3 of the refresh points as well.
Okay. So you're using 3 sway plus 1 from your drive is you're at +4 plus another 3 is you're going to be at +7 on this roll.
Yep.
And also so that's also good because if you exceed her threshold by 5, you're going to get a critical hit and yet another bonus die.
Yep. So I just need to roll a 2 or better.
Okay. Which one are you rolling?
The blue die. Come on, 2. Didn't animate. Come on. Oh, okay, because it was showing the pop over text. There we go. Ha!
You got it. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be so your base die is going to be 6 because that's still even if you spend more than 6 points, you can't spend so the minimum number of points is usually the number of points you spend, but it can't be higher than 6. So your base die is going to be 6 points of morale damage, and you get 2 bonus dice on top of that. So why don't you go ahead and roll both? Oh, and +1 for making a morale attack. So why don't you roll? So it's going to be 6 plus. Go ahead and roll both dice and add 1 to that, and that's how much morale you did.
And the 2 bonus dice are between the critical hit and an intimidation spend?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, your base die does a minimum of 6, so no bother rolling for that.
Okay. So I'll just roll the 2 dice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one's from the critical hit and one's from burning a point of which did you spend?
So I spent 3 points of sway and 2 of the refresh. So actually, I think it would be minimum 5 because the final point was from arresting a miscreant.
Got it. And which investigative ability are you spending to get the bonus die?
Intimidation. I've got blood running down my face and a set of manacles.
Got it. Yep.
Cool. So in that case, because my minimum is 5, I should roll 1 as the primary anyway?
Minimum is 5. Yeah, you should probably roll 1 as a primary. If you rolled 1, it's only going to be 5.
Yep, I'll roll the blue one first. There you go, 6. Okay, and then the 2 bonus dice. Got a 6 and a 1.
Okay, so we got 12, 13. That's going to be 14 points of morale damage. What is her? Yeah, you have absolutely okay. You have dropped her below. You've dropped her below 0. You have dropped her below 0. She needs to make a morale check. Threshold is 4. She is going to spend 3. She's going to spend 3 points of her pool. So this is going to be an automatic success, but I'm going to roll anyway. So yes, she passes her morale check, but she is shaken.
Hooray.
She is now at penalty. She is now at penalties for. I'm sorry, not stable. She's I'm sorry, not shaken. She is unstable. Is the term. So she's now at basically penalties to everything. Awesome. So you just went. Who is going to go next?
So I get some more action and adventure from Kaleska.
Okay.
So you are still fighting the you're still fighting 2 mooks and the first mate.
Yes. I think we're going to go ahead and concentrate on the first mate with that big slow hammer of his. I am going to go ahead and use. I'm going to use my drive of drowning an enemy's blood. I'm going to what that looks like is that one of the ones that I've dispatched. As I've ducked the hammer, I've grabbed some of the blood from its chest and I've run it down my braids that I have, coloring them red.
Okay.
So I'm going to use that. Of course, this is going to be a warfare roll. I'm going to try and attack the first mate, and I'm going to invoke my Tactics of Death.
Fantastic. So in Tactics of Death, are you going to use that to bump your attack roll?
No, I think it's going to be for my damage die.
Okay. So and you do have cleaves. So again, for every so you could conceivably try to attack all 3, as long as you have you can still attack. You can still try to attack all 3 if you spend enough points to do that.
Okay, well then I will use cleave then. I will almost like a whirling dervish start taking on all 3 of these at once.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and spend. Do I know what her threshold is, or his threshold?
His threshold. His health threshold is going to be 4.
4. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go all out here. So I'm going to go ahead and spend. General abilities refresh after the scene.
Correct.
I'm going to go ahead and spend 5 of my warfare points and 2 of the pull points.
Okay. So you're spending. You said you're spending 5 warfare points and 2, so +7 on the die.
Yep, +7 on the die.
Awesome.
I'm going to roll the blue die.
Okay.
Oh, I'm also. Am I not +1 because I'm invoking my?
Oh yes.
In
I'm sorry. Yes,
blood?
and you get a further +1, so you'll be +8 on the die.
Okay, great.
Forgot about that.
Blue die. 3 + 8, 11.
11. Okay, you hit all 3. You hit all 3.
Yep.
The two regular pirates, they go down. Yes, and you also hit the first mate. So let's do some damage. So let's see, 11 versus his threshold of 4. Yeah, that's going to be a critical hit on him. So you're going to get 1 bonus die from the critical hit. Your base die will do a minimum damage of 6 because you spent that many points. And if you want to throw an investigative point in, like Tactics of Death,
yeah, I do.
That'll add another die. I mean, if you want to blow both of your Tactics of Death, you certainly may.
Just the one.
Okay.
Because the investigative points won't refresh, right?
Normally they would not. However, because this is sort of like the introductory combat, which is taking a bit longer than I was initially thinking it would, but I think we're having. I know I'm having fun with this scene. I'm going to let everyone refresh their investigative points because we're still like feeling out the system. So when we actually get to Eversync, everyone will be at full. So if you want to go ahead and like blow your investigative points like there's no tomorrow, that is absolutely fine right now.
All right, I'll spend 2 of them then. So that'll give me
Okay.
2 bonus dice for that.
Okay.
So how many bonus dice is that total?
You now have 3 bonus dice.
Okay. I'm not going to roll the base die because it's going to be a 6.
No sense.
Because of the
And
points
why don't
I spent.
I put another die on the table?
Cool. All right, I'm going to roll all 3.
Okay, go for it.
11, 12, 13, 14 additional points.
Okay, that was so
14, 7, 8, 9,
yeah,
10,
14
11,
plus
21.
6 plus 6 plus 1. Okay.
+2 for the obsidian sword.
Yeah, +2 for the obsidian
Oh,
sword
right.
also.
Oh, right. Okay, so 14 plus 6 is 20 plus 2 is 22 points of damage. Wow. Okay. His armor absorbs 1 of those. He's down. He is at -10 health. He's out of the he's out of the fight. You can choose to have you can choose to have slain him, or you can choose to have knocked him out. Up to you. He is down. You have narrative control. What does it look like by taking out first mate no neck?
Well, I because he deigned to try to attack me from behind with that hammer. The death will not. His death is not good enough for him. So as I spit around, just taking out both of the mooks with a slice, I shoulder into the first mate, knocking him off balance. I then draw my sword up, cutting the artery on his left and right arms, and then kicking him down to the ground and hamstringing both of his legs. So he's alive, but he cannot move. He can't move his extremities. They've all been, he's been, I don't know, I'm not dismembered. He's been kept from being able to move.
Have you basically? I mean, have you permanently made this guy into a quadriplegic, or
essentially,
or,
yeah?
Or is he just? Or is this? Did you intend this to be temporary or permanent?
I invoke drowning in my enemy's blood, so I would say it would have to be permanent.
Okay, fantastic. Who goes next?
Let's see. Quill. Let's see what happens with Quill.
Okay. What's the situation on the ship now?
The tide has definitely turned. You have eliminated all of the pirates that have come aboard, including the first mate. Seeing Captain Cointongue, when her first mate goes down, her demeanor has changed dramatically. She now looks scared.
And I know why she looks scared, because with my forgotten lore, I know that the captain of a pirate ship, which is a woman, has 2 pillars that give her strength. One is her first mate, as long as he's standing, and the second one is as long as she is wearing her tricorn. When those both are gone, she will take a well, lose morale or something like that. I don't know for sure because I've never experienced it, but I'm now going for her hat.
Fantastic! I love it. So go ahead and spend a point of forgotten lore. We have now established that a pirate captain relies on their first mate and their hat, and when both are taken out, they are at a severe disadvantage.
Right. So I'm using athletics again with the well-established swing on a piece of rope.
Very good. Very good. Yes, this is a maneuver. This is totally a maneuver. Yeah, the threshold you want to hit. The threshold you want to hit here is 4.
Okay. So I'm spending all 4 points of athletics that I have left. And in a way, what I want to do is what I've done before. So hold on to the rope, swing kind of across to where she is standing, but this time not knocking her off with my feet, but grabbing her hat with athletics or fast hands or warfare. Whatever.
I was going to say this is going to be an athletics check. So yeah, you're spending. I'm sorry. How many points did you say you just spent?
4.
4 points. Okay.
Yep.
And you may go ahead and spend as many of those refresh points. Pay no attention. I accidentally added yellow ones instead of green ones, so they're all the points on the board are all the same.
Okay. Well, I'm taking 2 because this is the captain.
Go. So you were at plus
all right.
6. Which die are you rolling?
Okay, then I quickly kiss my lucky token, make sure it's packed away safely again because I keep losing it, and grab the rope and roll the blue die. I rolled a 2.
But plus 6 is still an 8.
Yeah.
That does not exceed her threshold by 5, so it's a standard hit, but that's fine. You now have her hat. And I'm going to say that this establishes that this is going to require her to make an immediate morale check. And she's already at a disadvantage of this because she is currently unstable. So this, depending on how this goes, I'm rolling the yellow die. Looks like I got a 2. At that, at that she surrenders.
Yay! Excellent. This is
Captain,
fun.
Captain Cointongue surrenders because you have taken out her first mate and you have stolen her hat. And by the laws of the sea, you have bested her. So yeah, she surrenders. And also you've also killed half her crew.
This happens. Shouldn't have attacked us.
Yes, and you have the hat of Captain Cointongue. Those of you who have felonious intent know that Captain Cointongue has a bounty on her head. Trading her in would be the so Swords of the Serpentine. In terms of like coins and wealth, it's all abstracted. There are coins of various sorts. There are gems that are certainly of value, but it abstracts this in terms of a wealth system. So turning in Captain Cointongue would give you a grand total of 10 wealth, which is a king's ransom. So you have so she surrenders. I'm just gonna narrate this so we can kind of move on. So she surrenders. You and the crew of the Shining Coin board her ship. They've only got about a dozen men left, which is about as many men as you had on the Shining Coin. But she surrenders. I guess Lucrezia, you put those manacles on her. bring her back aboard. You're going to bring her back to Eversink. So I guess a question is, what do you want to do with her ship?
Ooh. The only reasonable thing.
One thing you notice is as soon as you get aboard their ship is the ship smells bad. Like it smells. It's definitely the stink of death suffuses this ship. It seems it's like they've tried to mask it with various perfumes, but this ship smells like death. I'm just going to narrate a little bit here, just because we're getting a little short on time to run the rest of the adventure. So you and the crew of the Shining Coin, like board the pirate ship, and yeah, there's some treasure aboard, although not tons. It looks like they haven't been that successful as a pirate. Looks like they've if they had treasure, it looks like they've offloaded it somewhere. But the smell is coming from their cargo hold, and when you open up the cargo hold, you're assailed by it because there are corpses stacked like cordwood. Flies are buzzing about. It smells like a charnel house, but there's at least a dozen bodies that are stacked like cordwood in the hold. Which is unusual because you all know that Captain Cointongue regularly places a coin under the tongues of any and all that she kills, both of her crew and of any opponents, and she throws them. She normally would throw them overboard as a sacrifice to one of the gods of the sea. Okay, at that, we're going to do a little bit of an investigation scene aboard the ship. We'll do a quick montage scene of getting back to Eversink, and then the adventure will continue after I'm calling a 5-minute break. So I've got let's see. I think I'm going to need a little more than. I think I'm going to need. I'm actually going to call a 7-minute break. Let's come back at quarter till the hour.
Okay.
See you in about 7 minutes.
I found Lucrezia's lucky coin.
Most excellent. Cass, in the background, it looks like you are either moving in or moving out of somewhere.
Moving in, yeah, we moved from Massachusetts to Maine about 2 months ago. So, I mean, the moving in is technically done. We've still just got some unpacking to do.
Nice. Whereabouts in Maine, if I may? I'm from New Hampshire originally. Whereabouts?
So we moved to Gorham. It is 30 minutes outside of Portland.
Okay, nice. Okay, it looks like we are all back. Fantastic. Before we get started, what's everyone think so far? I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, really, really good fun. And I like the part which is the way that we don't usually play, where basically you ask us, like, okay, yeah, you managed to take him down. What does it look like?
That is a technique I've picked up from many years of playing like story games and indie RPGs. It's a technique that I really enjoyed as a player, and was kind of blown away the first time a GM asked me to do that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I've been incorporating that, not even just in even in like even when I do occasionally play traditional games like Call of Cthulhu or even those rare occasions I GM Dungeons and Dragons. That's a technique I like to do. I started doing it that way when I was playing Powered by the Apocalypse games, and I just find it a really fun technique because then I get to try to. So I'm not as creative as all of us are together, so so it's a way to like not just share the responsibilities, but also to incorporate everybody into as much of the narrative as we can. I just find it a fun way to play.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I've encountered players who really don't like it, but the phrase that breaks immersion has come up among some players, but
I guess it depends a little bit on how much imagination the player has. If he or she can think up like, what is my move? How can I describe it? Yeah, also depends a bit on if people are good with words or not so much.
I think that has something to do with it. It's a play style thing. I first encountered that actually playing on the Gauntlet. Oftentimes you'd ask usually when you do a full success, like, okay, tell us what that looks like. But I like another thing that I find it helpful with is in terms of even when I'll often ask you to like dictate like what's a bad thing that happens to you, because I find player consent is like very, very important to me. So I just want to make sure that rather than me telling you what happens, the bad thing that happens to your character, I'll tell you, okay, this bad thing, this general bad thing is happening to your character. Tell us what it looks like. That way you, the player, have control, and you have, you're only telling us like, what you consent to. So I just think it's, I just think that's an important technique. So thank you. I'm glad you're all enjoying that. Excuse me. Okay. So now we're moving into a bit of now we're moving into sort of like the investigative side. So this is the more traditional gumshoe part of a gumshoe game. You've encountered a bit of a mystery. You've captured this pirate and some of her men, and you've encountered a mystery that why would a pirate be stacking corpses like cordwood in the hold of their ship, which is making the whole ship reek? So, what are you folks doing? You could do things like attempts to interrogate Captain Cointongue, attempt to interrogate the crew, poke around the ship looking for clues. How are you going about doing this?
I'd like to pop down into the hold, specifically using my spirit sight to see if maybe with all these corpses, there's got to be some restless spirits
So here's I'm going to throw a little lore, a little bit of setting lore at you. So in general, so Spirit Sight allows you to see spirits. If you spend a point, you can generally communicate with spirits. Spirit Sight also lets you see corruption that was caused by sorcery. Again, whether that was the sorcerer themselves who is corrupt, or corruption that got spread around through externalizing. One other bit of setting lore is is about the spirits of the dead. So in the world, what causes ghosts to happen is if people forget about the dead. So in that sense, generally, when someone dies, the family, when someone dies, the way people remember the person is by constructing a funerary statue. So that is how you generally prevent ghosts from lingering around, is by letting their spirit move on to the spirit realms by building a funerary statue. Is basically makes it allows the spirit to untether from this realm and move on to the rest. Although destruction of a funerary statue may cause the ghost to come back. So let me take a look. Let me take a quick look here. I hadn't thought of spirit sense. So I'm going to tell you. So again, just by using spirit sense, there's no spend required. You can just tell that the spirits of these dead are hanging around. They aren't really moving on. They aren't doing anything per se, but they haven't moved on, which would indicate that no one's yet built a funerary statue for these people. Which, well, you are on a ship at sea. I mean, funerary statues. I mean, even like something real small. Doesn't have to be made out of any particular material, but as long as someone is remembering, has built such a thing that will let the spirits move on. Doesn't look like anyone has.
I have two questions.
Absolutely.
So first, is it safe to say that these individuals were killed by and large recently? It's not like they're mummified or anything like that?
Yeah, they're probably days or weeks old.
Okay. And question two is, did we have a refresh of our general ability pool at this point? Okay.
In fact, at this point, everyone can refresh their general pool, and everyone can refresh their investigative pool from the first fight. And at this point, the investigation is continuing. So at this point, and your investigative abilities will not refresh basically until the end of the adventure, which this is a one-shot. So
Right.
depending on how far we get in the mystery, we may not get to the end per se, because that pirate fight took a bit longer than I was anticipating. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry?
I was going to say the combat abilities are part of the general?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Health is not, however.
Health is not.
Okay.
Health doesn't refresh, although I'm going to say go ahead. I'm going to say at this point, so health does refresh with time, and you're still a week away from everything. So I'm going to say that just for the sake, and there are ways to increase, there's a way to gain health and morale back by using like the leech, by using the bind wounds general ability or the leechcraft investigative ability. So there are ways to treat wounds like quickly, but wounds heal over time, and there's going to be plenty of time before you get back to the city, and there's not going to be another combat. So go ahead and refresh everyone's. Go ahead and reset all of your points.
Yeah, definitely. I was imagining like a little bit of, post-combat montage time where Lucrezia has, a lot of bind wounds and just spends some time making sure that everybody on the crew is okay.
unlike a lot of fantasy games, this game does not really have healing magic. Although it might be possible. Although some sorcerers' spears might allow you to heal quickly. Although there may be some weirdness involved with that. And I don't think anyone has any that would work. But generally, magical healing is not really much of a thing in this game.
So down in the hold, Lucrezia is getting out her logbook. She has this meticulously penned book of arrests, and she's taking it and opening it from the back and makes a new header saying "Lost at Sea." And so I'm going to spend a point of spirit sight, clear my throat, and say, "All right, all of you, line up. I need names and family so we can get you sorted."
I love it. Fantastic. Several of dozen. Yeah, like you're able to look into the spirit realm, and yes, the spirits are hanging around. And yeah, they're a little confused. It looks like none of them have been dead for very long, so I haven't quite gotten used to it. But yes, I'm going to say there's like 14 bodies in the hold, and the spirits all do line up, and they all give you their names and and some information about them. Most of them are Sinkish. Most of them are merchantmen from not all of them, but most of them were from Eversink. And but they're all a little confused, and none of them really quite understand what none of them really quite understand what's going on, and none of them really have any they're still shaken up from getting killed, so none of them really have any information per se. But you do have enough information to know that most of these were killed when the Squandered Hope attacked another Eversink merchantman, which they fought a lot harder than the crew of the Shining Coin did, and things didn't go so well because they didn't have 4 adventurers like you aboard. And eventually they do tell you that from what they can tell, the pirates put most of them to the blade. Several of them jumped overboard to try to escape, and they took whatever they could from the ship and set it ablaze.
Rude. So yeah, I'm gonna be. Lucrezia is gentle with all of them, but honest about it. Like, yes, you're dead, but she's not pressing or anything. Just trying to get everybody sorted so that when she does return to the city, she can make sure that they have their statues made.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
While my compatriots are looking into the hold of the ship and the smell that we all notice now, I am going to talk to the captain, the previous captain of that ship, and Prussia, and see if I can't intimidate some information out of her. I'd like to spend a point of intimidation to see if I can get her to tell me what's going on with the what's going on with the dead bodies in the hold of the ship.
Okay. So yeah, there's a bit of back and forth, and she's at first reluctant, but with an intimidation spend, I'm gonna ask, how are you threatening her?
Oh, well, I've still got the blood of her first mate in the braids of my hair. That's the first thing. I've taken the first mate, and he's not, his wounds haven't been bound, but his body is still kind of laying there. I've moved it over towards her, and I'm saying, okay, this is I think that your choices here are obvious. I think you I think you better tell me what's going on with the bodies in the ship. What are you, some kind of necromancer or something?
She sighs like, I am not a necromancer, but it's probably involved. Finally, she says, look, I've been hired to kill as many people as possible on inbound ships to Eversink, so long as the ships can still make it back to port. Look, there's some, and she sighs. She said, I knew that was, look, I was having fun with this, but clearly I broke my pact with the gods of the sea, because they're paying really good coin per body. They've been paying for corpses. And regularly when corpses happen, the Church of Denari takes them, and then we'll build funerary statues. But there's someone who's paying good coin for bodies. So I've been delivering.
So I pound my fist next to her head and I say, who's been paying good coin for bodies?
Denastra. Her name's Denastra.
Denastra.
Does anyone here have felonious intent? And I think the answer to that is yes. Lucrezia, once you hear the name, I assume that Kaloska, I assume you fill the rest of you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Denastra. You know who Denastra is. She's somewhat infamous. She's smart enough to never actually get caught herself, but she is a known and feared gang leader who works out of a set of docks in a section of city called the Tangle. The Tangle is the Tangle's like the poorest and most rundown part of Eversink. Oh, yeah. One other thing I meant to mention, or this is like one little bit of lore setting lore that I meant to mention earlier. Why is the city called Eversink? The city is called Eversink because it is perpetually sinking. People have been building here for 1,000 years, and all of the buildings it is literally built in a swamp, but all of the buildings in the city just constantly sink deeper and deeper into the mire. And then they just keep building up, but it just keeps sinking. Not all the parts of the city sink at quite the same rate. But this has created a vast underground complex of abandoned basements and abandoned catacombs of parts of buildings that had once been at street level, but now they are below the surface of the ground. And buildings have been sinking here for centuries with no end in sight, and no one is quite sure why. It just is. Anyway, that may become important later. But yeah, that's a little bit of setting lore as to why Eversink is called Eversink, because it is forever sinking. But as the buildings sink, they just keep building up. So Denastra is she's a gang leader who has a finger in a whole lot of nefarious business in and around the Tangle. This is the first, however, you've heard that she deals in corpses.
So I'm going to share that general knowledge as we all pool our intel. I wonder if I did a spend of felonious intent, would that get me a sense of, aside from necromancers, what else, or whether there's any existing trade in corpses that I might know of?
You don't need to spend for that. I'll just tell you. I mean, if you want to spend, I'll definitely give you more information. But yes, there are forces at play that would occasionally trade in human corpses. Certainly necromancers. There are other. It's not exactly necromancy, but there's some darker divination sort of magic that if you have the body of someone, it makes it easier to scry upon the loved ones of said corpse. Or alternatively, having a corpse would make it easier to view that person's past. So if you're trying to find, so if a sorcerer knew the appropriate rituals, having a body would conceivably help you find the dead person's secrets. So there are reasons why. There's probably some dark alchemy that that body parts would be helpful for, but mostly it would be necromancy.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah. If there's more to know, then I'd love to do a felonious intent spend, because what's better than arresting one pirate? Why, a pirate and a gang leader.
Give me just a moment. I wasn't anticipating this one. I just want to do a quick check to make sure I'm not going to contradict myself with what I'm about to say. Okay, yeah, for a spend of felonious intent. You have heard rumors, just rumors, that there's somebody in the Tangle that has been diverting bodies from proper burial. You never got a name. You never really got a purpose, but there's and this person had put out the word that they're paying money for corpses. You got that through. You never actually put that. You never got Dynastra's name attached to that. Again, this is just rumors that you had heard while you were doing general law enforcement in the city. But it was just rumors. You hadn't really put that together. But it does sound like Dynastra's probably not. I mean, you've never heard Dynastra to be a necromancer herself. She's probably doing this as this is probably yet one another of her schemes where she's collecting bodies for someone else. And I'll also say that the rumors you heard about someone looking for bodies, they weren't looking to kill people. They weren't looking to kill people. They were just looking to collect bodies, the bodies of people who died for whatever reason. What you know of Dynastra, though, if she thought that there was money to be made with bodies, she would absolutely not be above murder to boost her profit.
Nice. So I imagine this is delivered, as a little ramble to everybody else at the party, clutching my holy coin, just to loop everybody else in.
Fantastic. So you've got a name, you've got a place, you've got a possible reason. That's basically the information that you've got. So definitely, so someone's looking for bodies. Dynastra is connected in somehow, and it would not be outside of Dynastra's known MO to let's just say make some corpses where there were not corpses before. Okay, so at this point in the game, let's see, we've only got another hour of play. Normally, I would go from here to do what's called a montage sequence, where we'd we'd collectively narrate the ship returning to Eversink. Basically, I'd pick one person to like describe the journey and an obstacle that you faced. Someone else to describe how you overcame the obstacle. Someone else to tell us like what you learned or gained from the obstacle. We're not going to do that just because it's a little bit of time, but I just wanted to tell you how that's that is usually part of the game, and that's a way that's a way that we can collectively build some lore for the world. So it's about a week later. You have returned to port at Eversink, and yeah, you put it in at the docks. One other thing, and again, you all, Lucrezia, you would certainly know this. Generally, I mean, people regularly die at sea, and because people don't want spirits lying around. Generally, the Church of Denari will collect the bodies. They're generally cremated, and but before that happens, they will generally contact the family to see if they want a particular kind of funerary statue built, and if not, the church will make a small and simple one for just about anybody. Even if they, I mean, they'll try to charge for it, but it's kind of a public service to prevent ghosts from haunting the city. So the church does usually collect bodies. So as you put in, so the shining coin like puts into dock, and it's like pretty much business as usual. And one of the first things that happens is a party of corpse takers comes up to the ship and asks if there are any bodies. That they wish to any bodies to bring to the church.
If nobody else is opposed, I think that Lucrezia might make it her own mission to escort the bodies to the church, given that she knows that there's this contraband going on.
Sure. And Lucrezia, you can just tell just by looking at them, because you've got liar's tell, you've got felonious intent, and you've got laws and traditions. You just tell by looking at these people, these are not from the church. These are not the official corpse takers. They are wearing the uniforms of the corpse that the Corpse Takers Guild usually wears, but their insignia are wrong. It's just the uniforms aren't quite right. Their insignias just aren't there. These are not the official corpse takers.
Wonderful.
Although they certainly claim to be.
I pop over beside Quill.
You think what I think?
I do. I think that maybe you can tail these guys, figure out where they're going, yeah?
Yeah, I think let's give them the bodies, or some of them, make them believe it's all of them, and yeah, I'll follow and we'll see where they go.
Wonderful planning as always.
Is it just Quill going, or are you all gonna try to tail them?
I'm not particularly stealthy, so I don't know if we ought to leave this in Quill's capable hands, or.
I will. I've worked with Quill quite a few times. I'm very well versed in her line of business. I will go with her as just in case things go south.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it seems to. I mean, the captain doesn't seem any. The captain of the Shining Coin doesn't seem any. Doesn't seem any of. He doesn't seem to detect that there's anything off with these people. So yeah, so they load aboard. There were a few sailors that died in that died at sea, and certainly a number of the pirates that you killed. Yes, they basically they load the bodies onto a handcart and take them away. Quill and Kaleska follow at a discreet distance. Let's see. I think I'm going to call for a stealth check. The threshold is 3 because they're not really thinking that they're not really expecting that they're going to be tailed. And Quill, since you're leading, I'll let you make the roll for the both of you.
Okay. Okay. I'll invest 2 points because I really don't want to lose them.
Okay.
And we have 3 die. I'll take still the blue die. And I have a 3 plus the 2 points.
Okay, yeah, they don't seem to notice you. So they take the corpses on a hand cart, and they wheel it to the they wheel it a couple of blocks. Then there's a canal. They lead it to a canal boat. That's so Eversink has an extensive canal network. That's how most goods and services are brought around through Eversink. Because the streets are pretty narrow. Oh wait, let me just do one thing here real quick. There we go. Yeah, you're no longer at sea. You are now at a canal. You are now in a fantasy city with an extensive canal network. So change my background. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's 4. Oh. Before we go any further with that, so while Quill and Kaleska go off, what are you doing with your 2 captives?
Gotta turn them in, get them to the Church of Denari, or I guess whatever the law enforcers would be.
I was gonna say there are secular law enforcement, and they'd be the ones who would be executing the law and presumably executing the guilty.
I'm keeping the hat.
Awesome. So yeah, you're able to, so Lucrezia, you're able to contact some officials. They send round people from the Law Enforcers Guild, and they collect Kaleska and they collect Fresha Cointongue and Kossos, her first mate. And yes, there was a bounty for both. There was a bounty on both their heads, and they make arrangements for paying you off this bounty, which quite a lot of money. Meanwhile, Kaleska and Quill are following these corpse takers through the city. And again, for time reasons, I would normally run another like chase montage scene, but I think we're just gonna cut right to it. So you follow them through the Tangle, and the Tangle is it's a fairly poor part of the city. This is where businesses that are not that are necessary but not necessarily but you don't actually want in your backyard. So there's tanneries. There are this is where there are slaughterhouses. There are other kind of unpleasant businesses that are done here in the Tangle. It smells worse than most of the city, especially in the Tannery district. But at the same time, one other interesting thing about the Tangle is that's also where the best street food in town is. So you got plenty of lesser noblemen slumming it in the tangle, looking for like the best kebab cart or you know, or like the best shrimp tacos you're ever going to find. So yeah, so they fall. So these 4 corpse takers unload the corpses into a canal boat, which goes up. Which again, you're able to follow. Mostly, I mean, the canal sometimes goes past buildings that don't have any street access. You know, there's like sometimes buildings that go straight down into the canal, so you're going to sometimes have to guess which direction they go. But you know the city well enough. You know where they're probably going. And eventually they come to a section. Eventually they get to a, you know, they come to an area of the Tangle that was generally run by the Masons Guild. And you come across a kind of incongruous, I mean, you've heard of this building, you've seen it before. There's this one incongruously built building here in the Tangle that's known as Noble House. And unlike all of the other buildings, which you know, which are kind of like rundown tenements, and you know, again, a lot of rundown tenements, a lot of other like construction that's not particularly impressive. This one looks just like the kind of building that you'd see in the rich section of town. This looks like a noble's manor house. Granted, it doesn't have any of the grounds that a manor house would have. Let's see. Let's see what skills are here. And it would have nobility. Oh, Lucrezia does have nobility. You know, you knew this was here. I'm going to say you've never actually been. You've heard that there was a building that was built like this, but you've never actually had occasion to come down here before, and you've never set eyes on this. And when you look at this building, it is clearly a copy of the Valoria state. Like, I mean, someone has painstakingly, I mean, you're looking at it and it's clearly a facade that they've built over another building. This is clearly a copy of the Valoria state, which is in the rich section of town. You have no idea why someone would attempt to copy the manor house of the well-established Valori family. One other thing that's odd and not about this building that you're seeing is there does not appear to be a front door. It looks like there might have been, but the building is sunk such that street level is now kind of like between what had been the first and the second stories. So there does not appear to be a door to enter this building. However, the canal boat that you were following, you know, goes around behind this building, doesn't come out from the other side, and when you look around, it looks like there is in the side of the building there is an opening where the canal water like goes into the building, and you think that the boat has gone in there. It's just kind of like a hole in the side of the building where looks like the wall has collapsed, and presumably they put some kind of dock in there.
Are there any windows on ground level?
Not really. Again, it looks like most of the windows have kind of like sunk below, so you would need to like climb up a little bit.
No problem.
Okay. I don't think we need to roll here. Yeah, you look inside, and the room you're looking into looks pretty well appointed. Like furniture's pretty nice. Someone in here has some money. You don't see any people milling about. It looks like it's a like a formal drawing room.
Okay. Well, my intention is basically climb up, open a window, fix a rope to somewhere, throw it down so that the others, or I think it's only Kalaska with me, she can climb in as well.
Okay. Cool. This sounds like an awesome scene. We will continue in 2 minutes. I need to take a quick break. Back in 2. Time got away from me on this one. I think we're probably going to have to do a narrative wrap up. I'm going to try to bring you at least to an interesting cliffhanger, and hopefully that'll be at least a somewhat satisfying ending.
It's been a good introduction.
Yeah, I think we had good fun, really good fun.
Good. Okay, yeah, because we only got about a half hour play left, which I don't really want to get. I don't really want to like start a big fight scene or anything else. So, Quill, yeah, you're able to surreptitiously get up to a window and get inside and drop a rope, and Kalaska comes back up. And yeah, you're in. It's once you're inside, it's pretty clear that this building isn't really. I mean, it isn't like the interior isn't that of a manor house. The interior is that of a tenement building that's been sort of like retrofitted to like the rooms of the apartments have been kind of like doorways have been like knocked between what had been the various apartments. And it's decked out pretty well. There's a fair amount of statuaries of various sorts in here. You sneak around a little bit, and at some point you do hear a woman's voice talking with speaking with another. There's a woman's voice talking with a man, and you eavesdrop a little bit. And the man is asking for a status report on how many more bodies that they've been able to find, because his project is coming to fruition, but he needs more bodies to to really show those nobles what's coming to them. They're probably in the next room. What do you folks do?
Probably in the next room, you said?
Yep. They don't seem to have any idea that there are intruders in the house.
Okay. Well, the room we are in, I look or I try to find a place where we can hide very quickly, just in case they leave their room.
Okay.
And then I check, I don't know if there's a keyhole, or if I can kind of have a look and see these people and listen a little bit better.
Okay. I'm going to say there's probably not a keyhole, but you know, the door to that room is partly ajar. So, and you know, it's a tenement building. It doesn't have a lot of interior windows. So, yeah, I'm going to say you could definitely get a peek into that room without revealing yourself by making a stealth check.
Mhm. I do have stealth, but not so much left. I'll invest just 1 point.
Got it. And you can there's still a refresh. I should have reset those from the last scene, but there are actually, I will do that right now. There are 5 refresh tokens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I also invest 1 refresh. And I'll use the yellow die. Ooh, I rolled a 1.
Okay, but you were using, but you spent 3 points total?
2.
2 points total. Okay.
Yeah.
You got a 3. Okay. So in the course of this conversation, so you get a glimpse. There's a man who is very well dressed. He's pretty young. He's probably in his like his late 20s. He is dressed foppishly. So he's wearing like very, very stylish clothing. You know, a lot of gold, a lot of you know, he's dressed very fashionably, very richly. The woman he's talking with is she's dressed very utilitarian, wearing like a leather armor, and she's got a vicious looking rapier at her side. And you know, he was saying like, so how many corpses are we getting? I mean, we need more bodies for my grand project, he says. And she says, well, you know, we've got a few in, we've got more coming in from the docks. In fact, there's a load that's being unloaded in the basement right now. She says, good. You know, we're getting close to fruition, but we need more. To which she says, but listen, Antoni, she says, I think you're a lot closer than you thought. I think we can probably bring your plans to fruition now. To which she says, no, we need more. We need more. You know, the I don't know. And you know, and at that he at that, off the table he's standing next to, he pulls this like big book, like a rich, a very large tome, and he flips it open, and he says, like, see, we need at least 5 dozen in order for this to be as powerful, for this creation to be as powerful as it can. We need to make a real statement. To which she rolls her eyes and says, all right, we'll collect more. At that, she turns and is about to look. She's about to step out of the room, and then she looks directly in the direction of the door you're hiding behind, and like makes eye contact with you and says, who are you and what are you doing in this room?
I slam the door, close.
Okay.
Take out my dagger and ram it like in the between the door and the wall, kind of to make it stuck.
Okay, awesome. Meanwhile, in the other part of the city, Precipitous and Lucrezia, what are you doing? You could conceivably, you know, I know that if you wanted to, you could say you were following your friends, such that you know, if your friends were following someone and you were following your friends, presumably they wouldn't notice. Or you know, if there's any other leads you want to chase down or like try to follow up on. Basically, I just want to get a I'm just trying to figure out a way on how I can get you all together in the remaining like 20 minutes of this game, so I can like bring this to a conclusion. And I do apologize. We haven't really gotten like Acipitous hasn't really gotten near enough screen time in this adventure, and I'm sorry about that.
I was going to say, I'm following Acipitous' lead because I got to do all my law stuff. So take it away, David.
Yeah, no, that's fine. If we go ahead and, you know, get all the legal stuff resolved, then I'm fine with just going ahead and following along with Quill and Kaleska. If that's going to get us all in more or less the same location for that end here.
Okay, so you had been following them, and so you were standing on, you were kind of like hiding behind, like hiding in an alley, watching Lucrezia and I'm sorry, watching Quill and Kaleska like climb into the building, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen now? And so you're kind of like right outside, hiding in an alley when. So Quill and Kaleska, now that you've been discovered, what is like? What are you planning? We're now cutting back into the room. What are you guys doing?
Question: would I think that the people, or this, I assume it's Dinestra, has she seen only myself, or do I think she's seen Kaleska as well?
She's probably only seen you.
Okay, because then I put the dagger and turn around. Kaleska, you stay here, you hide, I leave real noisily, right?
No problem. Got it.
Okay, and then I turn and run, making kind of as much noise as I can, leaving the house.
Okay, you're gonna go out the window that you came in, or a different one, or
if that can be noisily, else I know. Well, if I see like a staircase going down, I would take that kind of so I can see more of the house,
Okay.
and try to reach a front door.
Okay. Sure. There isn't so much a front door. There wasn't there because again the front door had like sunk below the surface. You find the stairs going down, and you deliberately knock a few things behind you to make a lot of noise. And you do hear you know you hear the door that you were in like rattle as you leave through a different door, and like making some noise. Eventually the door like bursts open, and you know, Kaleska, you see a you know, you see a woman dressed in leather armor like enter the room, and then like look around, doesn't see you, and then takes off through the other door. Trying to think how to bring Acipitous and Lucrezia into here.
Well, I'm trying to leave the house, so if I manage, they might see me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to
So
say you get to again. There's no door on this level of the house. You do get to a balcony that's on the other side of the house. It's kind of like overlooking the that's overlooking the canal. You know, I'm going to say no. You get to a balcony that's that's on the side of the house. So the two of you, so Acipitous and Lucrezia, you see Quill suddenly throw open a pair of French doors and is now standing on a balcony that's kind of like a story and a half above street level. You know, you can, it's there's a space between this building and the next one, so you can see a little bit of the canal from where you are. What do you two do?
I'm trying to get a feel here. Is the idea that we want to be on the same level as them? Like we want to go up?
So you're on the street level. You're on the street level. There does not appear to be a door on this into this building from here because it's sunk below below the level of the street. So Quill's on a balcony that at this point is probably about maybe 12 feet above the surface of the ground, above street level.
But sorry for interrupting. You would all know that I always carry a lot of rope with me.
Right.
And you know, Acipitous, you do have command of magic, so you could conceivably conceivably magic yourself there by, I don't know, you know, like I'll say that there's some vines that are growing up the side of this building, so you can conceivably use that as a way to like get them into stairs,
Right.
and like walk right up.
If there was any stone work on the building, I could kind of meld handholds
Oh,
into it, that sort of
that's
thing
right. You also
too.
have, yep, and you also have stone. You also have stone. So yeah,
Right.
you can. And this building is made out of stone.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm willing to do that if it's a bit quicker than lowering the rope. So then, if that's the case, then I'll approach the building and basically like put a hand onto it, and as I do, like clay, the stonework kind of molds in with my hand, providing kind of a handhold, and then the next one, foothold, and basically there's this nice, easy to traverse kind of pathway as long as you have the strength for it.
Cool. Yeah, I would again, if we were not like racing to the end, I'd say that would probably require a corruption spend, and I would ask if you are externalizing or internalizing the corruption. When you internalize it, your body starts to take the form of whatever, or like is infused more and more physically by whatever the source of your power is. If you externalize it, you're putting corruption into the world. So you would make that decision. I'm not going to ask right now. So yeah, so Estipitus like makes it easy to traverse like ladder on the side of the building, and he and Lucrezia like climb up. So you're now on the balcony, and it's at that point where Dynastra and the person that she was speaking with open the French doors behind you, and the man says, well, it would appear that I have unexpected guests. Welcome to Noble House, the home of the soon-to-be Lord of House Valori. Please enter. We think we have much to discuss. Kaleska, they don't see that you are behind them. Lucrezia, you just looking at this man. Oh, and Dynastra, the woman, she's got that nasty looking rapier in her hand, as if to say this invitation inside is not a request. And Lucrezia, you see that as Lord Valori, or so he said, was speaking, you heard it almost sounded like two voices speaking in unison. There was a human voice, and also like a demonic voice that was speaking through it. None of the rest of you hear this. And as you look at Lord Valori, superimposed over his mouth is this like weird, almost cartoonish, extraordinarily wide grin, which extends beyond his actual mouth. There is clearly a demon that is living inside him that is speaking with or through him. None of the rest of you see this. You need to have spirit sense in order to tell this, but you can just see that. And you are all now beckoned inside.
Okay, so I go with them because I don't really have another choice, but doing so with one hand, I kind of fumble in my pouches where I still have the venom from this monster which I slew last month, kind of to have it ready and throw it at one of them at the convenient point of time.
Fantastic. So I think the viewers at home see from Lucrezia's perspective, this demon speaking through Lord Valori. Quill is surreptitiously pulling out a vial of poison. Kaleska is in the room behind them. Estipitus, what do the viewers see of you before the to be continued goes across the screen?
I think that I would be perhaps beginning to summon spirits, just in the event that I might have to sick those on people to scare them off or drive them away in fear, that kind of thing. So there's kind of this spectral energy that begins to swirl about my hands as I kind of like creep behind a curtain or something like that.
Fantastic. I love that. I am sorry that we ran out of time. And David, I'm especially I'm like it was really only like 45 minutes to the end. I was like, oh crap, I haven't let a sip of this do nearly enough, and I really do apologize for that.
Oh, no worries. I had a good time. Seriously, it's all good.
Good. I'm glad you did. I'm sorry I shorted you on screen time, but yeah. So that's Swords of the Serpentine. Like normally, like this would probably go into a like from here we would probably go into a like just a role playing scene where people could try to like intimidate each other, or like you could try to get more of the story out of them. But yeah, that's how this game plays. I definitely had fun. Every time this is like the 5th time I've run Corpse Astray, and the fight with the pirates goes completely differently every single time. So I'm going to do a little thing here that's called Stars and Wishes. Stars are things that I really enjoyed. Quill, I really, I think you're really, you definitely really leaned in. Everyone leaned in hard. Quill, I loved that was the first time I'd seen anyone like do the whole swashbuckler thing, like swinging from the ropes. I thought that was awesome. Cass, I think you did a great job with embodying Lucrezia, the earnest and forthright, guardian of Tanari. Kaleska, again, great. Again, great job of embodying this barbarian who was kind of bloodthirsty. I thought that was awesome. And yeah, I think David, thanks for bringing life to Asipitus. Again, I wish I'd thrown more spotlight at you to see what you could have done with that. And I wish we had more time to continue this adventure. That's my big wish. I wish 2 wishes. I wish I'd done a better job of like were we to have it next time, I'd try to do a better job of equitably sharing the spotlight. And I wish I'd spent a little less time on the pirate fight, so we've got to get a little more into the investigation. So we are ending on a cliffhanger.
Stars wise, I just want to. Oh no, sorry for interrupting.
No, I was just going to say, and that's pretty much what I have to say about this. And I'm opening up if anyone wants to make more comments.
Yeah, I really loved the drive system. I've been finding that as a GM, I'm really into my like NPCs headspaces, but when I find myself on the player end of the table, it can be a little bit hard to really embody a character. And I love that this had a mechanical incentive that pushed me in interesting directions. And then just wanted to echo that everybody did a great job of embodying characters, and it was just a lot of fun.
I guess I can go next. I thought that this was a lot of fun. It was a good introduction to playing on the Gauntlet. So thanks for, thanks Mike for running. I really appreciate you doing so, and I had a great time with it. The other thing is, I think the game is really good. I like it. I like how freeform it is. I like how it brings players' creativity, which I think we definitely saw that here today. I think everybody really had their creative hat on. So my only wish, honestly, is I would have liked to seen, and it was a time thing, I know, but more of the sorcery stuff, because I think that how open that sorcery system is. I mean, some really weird stuff can go down with it, and I think that would be really interesting. So if I were to play this again, I'd like to see more of the sorcery highlighted. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. I pretty much agree with all your points.
For my part, just going around the table, I'll start with Quill. Really, really, really strong use of environmental stuff during the fights. Like, oh my gosh, I have never seen so much use of like props in a fight. Like, you really went beyond a character sheet and were interacting with the environment around you, incorporating it into everything you were doing. It was really, really, really just fascinating and masterful to watch. It was just really, really cool. And Kaleska at the same time, I think that characterization-wise, the sheer brutality that character embodies when she is fighting really came through. It really felt like there was weight behind every strike, as you described it. And so, you know, big stars to you for that as well. And then Cass, just as far as characterization for Lucrezia is concerned, you were like using all your abilities. It was so cool to like use the whole package. Like, you had almost every ability. I was kind of following along as we played. You were using a large percentage of the abilities on your sheet, especially during the investigation parts of the adventure, which is exactly how you're supposed to do it, as far as I know. It's just really cool to see everything come together, and it felt like you were playing the game the way it was intended to be played, and that's always fun to watch. And then Mike, just to wrap up with you, one of the things that I appreciate about the way you GM is you are very good about prompting when you could use a certain ability here or there, or how you could use a certain ability here or there. That's really, really helpful to me as someone who's kind of new to the system, to have someone who's got a little bit more experience being like, oh, this is a good opportunity or a good place to use this or that in this way. So thank you for running, and thank you for being so helpful in explaining when and how to use the abilities. Wishes-wise, I would just say, I just love Gumshoe for the investigative and role-playing side of it. So getting a little bit more time with that, I think, would have been really, really nice. But the combat system is really fun, and it's nice to see how it differs from other systems too.
Thank you very much.
All right, only a few words from my side. I massively enjoyed myself this afternoon. It was really, really good fun playing with all of you. Thank you very much. In one of the breaks, I briefly read up on the Mauser thing. And with Kaleska, with you, I had the feeling that we could kind of portray those two characters quite nicely. Yeah, kind of the big brute and then the small sly thing, and those two working together. So that went really well. Thank you. What I would have enjoyed more, but this is a question of time, kind of more interaction between the characters. Yeah, but for that we need more time, kind of to really play them as the group of adventurers, which they are, but no time on that. And obviously, shame we have a cliffhanger, but never mind. I had so much fun on the ship that very much makes up for it. And yeah, last, thank you very much, Mike. I thought you were a fantastic GM. I felt I had the freedom to do or try anything I want, and I didn't feel restricted by the rules or by your style of GMing like some game masters do. So I think you did a really, really good job here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. That really makes me feel good. I'm glad folks had fun. I really enjoyed running this. I think you. I found this really a fun game to run. All of you, I really enjoyed playing with all of you. Welcome to our new people on the Gauntlet. I hope to see you around again. I do try to post. I do try to have games running. I do try to run at least one game a week. Usually I run them in. Usually I run them in month-long series. I haven't posted anything for November yet. My personal November schedule was a little up in the air, but I think I am going to get some games up shortly. So keep an eye on. So you can keep an eye on the calendar. Those are posted on the. I post those on the Gauntlet forums, which are open. If you are Patreons, if you're on the Gauntlet Slack. I'll post those on the Gauntlet Slack under the calendar events. I'm hopefully going to get some things up. I'm hopefully going to get November and December games up shortly. And People who support the Patreon have 72 hours of preferred access, so they can sign up before it goes to general. But again, check the wait. Get on the wait list. Especially games that are several weeks or even months out. People will sign up, and then their schedules change, and they'll have to drop. So yeah, I hope to see you all in the Gauntlet again. I'm really enjoying this. I had a great time. Thanks for being fantastic players. I really enjoyed this game. If you are going to continue to game on Open Gaming Weekend, have fun. Hope to see you around. This was a blast, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Take
Take care.
care.
Bye.
A lot of
Bye
fun.
bye.
Bye-bye.